Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it a freak flag, feel good, fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! Football 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. That's all right. The madness is still going on, so we'll get you up to date with everything happening in the tournament. Also, we're off a little bit early, so we ain't got a lot of time, but we got a lot to get into it, so we'll get to it, right to it. We'll also talk about the Cowboys. Cowboys right now rumored, reportedly, to be talking about making some moves to add what the term is juice to the offense, whatever that means. We'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. Also talk about the Longhorns with the big win over Colgate. Also talk about the Longhorns and their next opponents, the Penn State. How about that? Penn State Nittany Lions. We'll get into that. First time they've ever met up on the basketball court. We'll talk about that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, for the first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pippin ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. He is the Mike Harbaugh-Harch. What's going on, brother?
Man, oh, man, oh, man. The brackets just continue to get busted, but you know what? You still got a chance. Unless you have Arizona going to the Final Four like your boy did. That is a problem. But I'm not out of it. I'm not out of it yet. I just need a few things to work out.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. And you're right. You said we were out early today for Texas baseball. I will be on the call tonight with Roger Wallace. So I am looking forward to the University of Texas taking on the University of New Orleans.
Shout out.
They call them UNO, if you know what I'm talking about. UNO. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Famer, Longhorn legend, Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babels.
Thanks for the intro, as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the Arian family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know he's underpaid. Also, he's the owner of Lou, the unofficial mascot of Ball Don't Lie. So shout out to Lou. That's how we know we got good mojo in the building. Patrick Davis, what's going on, Patrick?
You know what? It is. It's Friday. That's a good thing.
It's a great thing. Everybody's got. I don't have a little green on, but I see you guys have a little green on.
I got green. I mean, the day's Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. Come on.
It's Patrick's
The amount
Day.
of free drinks I've gotten on this day by just being named Patrick.
Yes, holiday edition of
And
Ball Don't
not
Lie.
today. I mean, in the past days. I don't want to say.
Still,
showing up to work drunk.
No.
Fade it.
Yo, hey, man, you know what? You got to celebrate it.
right.
St. Patty's Day. So happy St. Patty's Day to everybody out there. Also, happy March Madness to everybody out there. It's a dual celebration. So you got plenty of reason to celebrate. And, of course, it's Friday, so everybody should be in a great mood on a Friday. Longhorn basketball fans are certainly in a damn good mood. They got to be feeling great about their team and about that performance. Gentlemen, that's exactly what you wanted to see from Texas. They pretty much had command of the game for 36 of the 35, 34 of the 40 minutes, I would say, something like that. And early on, there was it wasn't a slow start. They just did not come out with that intensity. We thought they would kind of overwhelm them early. Remember, Coach Terry talked about the first 4 minutes. Well, they really didn't dominate the first 4 minutes. They dominated the rest of the 36, minutes of the game, pretty much. And it was Sergio Rice. I mean, he had one of the greatest performances that we've ever seen from a Texas basketball player in the tournament. Period.
We call that epic.
Yeah, that's, I'm not trying to, exaggerate it, but I mean, that's just how great it was. You're talking about 7 3-pointers, and those 7 made 3-pointers that did tie, I believe it was a record for the program for most made 3-pointers in the tournament for any player. Sergio Rice ended up with 23 points. Texas also made 13 3-pointers as a team. They shot 56%, actually over 56%, damn near 57% from 3-point range. Gentlemen, Marcus Carr also contributed 17 points. Dylan Dessou did his thing down low. But I think it was exactly the type of performance you wanted to see from Texas. They played to a standard most of that game and not to their opponent. And Colgate, by the way, no disrespect to them, they're a damn good opponent too.
Absolutely.
I mean, they made the tournament, but Texas, they really did play like a team that's trying to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, and they looked together, and that was that what do we like to say? Connectivity. They had that connectivity. I was talking to a former player for the University of Texas today, and just trying to get his thoughts on what he's seen and what he's been seeing on this team. And he basically told me, he was like, "This is probably the best that I've seen this group of guys playing as a group, where everybody is understanding." It's kind of like what we talked about with Rodney Terry giving everybody that link and saying you have to do your part to make sure that this link stays together. And even if somebody gets off slow, and we've seen it happen at multiple times, and we'll get into Marcus Carr a little bit later, but when you look at this team, it looks like they are having fun playing basketball. And when you start seeing a team play well and play like they're having fun, it's a totally different ball game. Nobody looks like they're pressing. And can we give flowers to Dylan Dessou for the whole month of March? I mean, this guy has shown up the entire month of March and probably played his best basketball that he's played since he's been at this university. I mean, he's doing everything from defense, from rebounding, knocking down open shots, and he's got that little jump hook down to a science right now. It looks like a little shot put.
A little push shot.
Yeah.
Patrick calls the push shot.
Yeah, he's in there doing his thing. But Tyrese Hunter, you sit back, and we've been talking about him a lot this year, but if he still averaged 10 points this season, he still averaged 10 points a game this year. So I'm cool with that. He just didn't have it in the big spurts that we thought we were going to see him in. But I think everybody understands their role on this team, and nobody seems to be upset. Like Serge Ibaka was on fire, and they kept finding him. They kept getting him the ball, and that's when you know that a team understands what's going on, and they're pulling for each other and not against each other.
Yeah, the defense really set the tone for Texas. We talked about what the game plan would be. Patrick, you brought up they were going to go one-on-one straight up, down low. That's exactly what they did. They figured, hey, man, we got to be able to win that battle down low because we're going to smother the perimeter. And exactly what they did. Colgate only made 3 3-pointers. That tied a season low for them.
Yep. Yeah, and you never let them get flowing because they got some threes where they did help off, or a guy just missed his assignment or whatever it was. There was a couple of plays, like there was one where Timmy Allen got way too far off a three-point shooter. There's one where Brock Cunningham was just in a weird place and a guy gets wide open. But you never really let them get 2 or 3 shots and get the feel for the building because every time it's like you're 10 minutes in between a three-point shot or an open one. So you never let them get that flow of getting a shot up and the next possession get another one up and hitting it. And now that guy's hot. And now he can go and try and do what Jabari Rice did, which Jabari Rice was, hey, he just hit the first one, and then he just knew the same play. And they've done it all year, which is they run a screen on a guy, and if he goes under, he'll shoot it, and if he goes over, he drives it. And he knows on that screen, he's like, I can either beat you driving to the basket or I can hit the shot. And it's been a very effective play all season. And once he started hitting, they just ran that play over and over again. And I don't know at what point the coach wanted to call over Colgate and be like, go over the top. Like, stop going around the screen.
Yeah.
I know it's going to hurt. Like, I know it's not how we normally play. We've probably all season gone underneath screens. But this guy's killing us right now.
All right.
Because I guarantee you there was no way they thought that Texas was going to shoot that good from 3 at any point in that game.
Did any of us?
No. That's because I'm saying, because if you look at the numbers, especially down the stretch, you're like, the legs aren't there as much.
Yep.
Your 3-point numbers are kind of going down. They're a good 3-point shooting team, but not that good. You don't expect to get just blown out of the building while you're dominating inside too.
Yep.
Like they were playing, their big men were playing good basketball inside, and when Texas wasn't giving help, they were able to just take their sweet time backing anybody down.
Yeah.
But Texas will take that all day, every day.
Yeah, because especially when you're hitting threes on the other end, because you're still extending the lead.
Because that's exactly they basically took Colgate's identity away. Their identity was they want to be a team that can hurt you from the perimeter, best 3-point shooting team in the country, and they've been top 3 in the last 3 years. Texas said, you know what, we're going to take that away. If you beat us down low, that's great. And I'm with you. I don't know if they thought they'd be 57% from 3-point. Have they been hotter from 3-point range in the game? In like
No,
a,
I think
in like
only
a
one would
conference
be-
a conference game?
Well, no,
or,
and there's two parts to that. One,
Not a
no one else,
conference game.
no one else
Conference
is
game or
leaving
better.
them that open that many times.
Yeah.
Like no one in conference plays that level of defense. The Big 12, everyone plays defense.
so they have not shot.
So-
They've not been that hot since Big 12 play started.
No, not since Big 12, but Gonzaga game, they hit 13 threes
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way in the Big 12 that they've
Oh,
been
no.
able to
No,
be
but
that
I'll also
efficient.
put this as we saw is they did run the ball enough. They did spread that we saw at the end of the game. There was two things that happened. One, Colgate was just dead tired by the end of that game, which allowed Texas to put it away in fashion. But this other part is we've seen this in a few games this season, in multiple games, that sometimes they're having the lapse. But we've known, especially in the tournament, Texas has had a hard time closing out games in big games a lot of times. And it's just been a problem through Shaka, through Rick Barnes. It has been a problem for a while. Through Chris Beard, everybody had problems of getting this team to close out. This is the team, because they're an older team, and because whatever Rodney Terry's doing, I think this team is one of the better closeout teams that I've seen in Texas basketball in many years. And to see how they close out that game, that was never really in doubt. They were never worried where it never got down to 3 points, 2 points. Oh, my God, Colgate may take the lead.
Yep.
But you did get to the point where, okay, we could be shooting free throws at the end of this game. It could get down to single digits, and Colgate's going to start fouling. You're going to have to hit free throws. Texas didn't let it get to that point. They played really good defense down the stretch and then hit some shots and pulled it out to the 20-point lead.
Yeah, there were a couple of runs by Colgate, but Texas would answer every time they had one of those runs to bring you within single digits. And they did that a couple of times. They bring it within 9. I think one time they brought it like within 7 at one time, and Texas would just answer. And they would answer big. I'm talking about either with a big-time 3-point shot or Dylan Dessou down low, kind of with a kind of a
You'd see that Rodney
dominant
Terry
presence.
timeout. The Rodney Terry chew out,
Yeah.
and then back on the court, and you're like, all right, yeah, pick up the intensity again.
And give
Yep.
Christian Bishop some credit too. I mean, he had 8 points, 5 rebounds in the minutes that he played. I just thought overall, as you mentioned, Hards, everybody really did shine in their role. They didn't even need Timmy Allen. Coming back, Timmy Allen did start, but they didn't need Timmy Allen to have a great game, and they didn't need Timmy Tourniquet at all because he had 4 points, I believe, something like
4
that.
points, 5 assists though.
Yeah,
He did
He was
get some
involved.
good assists.
But
So
they
he
didn't-
was.
yeah.
It was in Christian Bishop. I love that play when he was going against Woodward, and Woodward's been backing down everybody, and Bishop goes to back him down, and Woodward just is a cement block, and so Christian Bishop can't move. Timmy Allen makes a great cut. Bishop finds him, and they still get a layup off of it. And you're like, that's good, smart play as a team. Is Timmy Allen saw what was happening, realized the position, it was like, oh, I can get behind that, and just went down and got it. It was just a really heads-up play by Timmy Allen there.
Yeah, I know. They really played as a team really, really well. The one thing I guess you would criticize, Chan on the Specs text line brings it up, 512-337-3776. They did have a lot of turnovers, ended up having 13 turnovers. And even though Marcus Carr had 5 turnovers, he still ended up really high in the plus minus. It's weird.
Yeah, which is very
It
weird.
was strange. I think he was
especially
like plus 24 or something like that. It was strange.
Yeah, he was plus 24.
Yeah. I don't know how
Tyrese
that-
Hunter was plus 20. Dylan Dessou was plus 20. The only
Dylan
person
Dessou
that
was
was
plus 20.
was negative was Arterio Morris, and he was -2. So, I mean, Texas overall, this was probably one of their best games. We've been talking about this for a while. We saw what they did in the Big 12 championship game, the entire tournament. Actually, they played together basketball, played intense basketball, played smart basketball. But I am with you, Chan, when I'm looking at him, and again, he got back to this point where he was dribble, and everybody was standing there like, I'm open, give me the ball. And then at the end of the game, they were just like, all right, we're just going to pass it over here, and we're just going to dribble the ball for a little bit because Marcus, even though you can tell, I mean, he's a very experienced player and he loves to play with the ball in his hand. There was one play where he had turned the ball over. They came back down. He got it back. He turned it over again, and the ball was away from him. And I saw him put his head down for a second, and he had to, like, totally regroup. And I was going to take a screenshot of it and send it to y'all, but I was just kind of I was dialed into the game because I like to watch away from the basketball and how people are reacting. So he put his head down, but then he went over and got a steal right after that. So it was one of those things where he understood too, man, I'm turning this ball over. I got to have better control of it. But that's the beauty of this team. You got a Tyrese Hunter. You got a Serge Jabari Rice. It doesn't always have to be Marcus Carr. And I think that's where Marcus needs to get back into his mindset of, I understand that they expect a lot from me, but I don't have to do everything because everybody is eating at this time.
Yeah, Serge Jabari Rice's performance, though. I mean, that was extraordinary, to say the least. He ended up, so it's his basically 13th game off the bench with at least 15-plus points. 11th time that he's been the leading scorer for Texas this season. And you're talking about a guy who ended up with not only the 23 points, the 7 made 3-pointers, which is a Texas tournament record for made threes. He also had 2 steals.
Yep.
3 assists, 6 rebounds. Man, he was just active. He was all over the place. And, I mean, to have that type of performance first game of the tournament just shows you all season long solidified. He's been the most consistent piece and the most consistent player. Kind of goes back to original. I remember before the season started when I asked a member of the coaching staff, like, who's the guy? And he said, Serge Jabari Rice is the guy. I was like, he's the guy? He's like, he's the guy.
Yep.
And that was it. That's all he said. And I came on the radio. I came on the radio the next day and I said, guys, I talked to a member of the staff and he said, Serge Jabari Rice is the guy. Even though he was coming off the bench. He said, he's the guy. He's the guy. He is him, as the young people would say.
Hey, my son has been saying him the entire season.
He is him.
He is him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can also look at him, and he is definitely a guy that coming to Texas, this was his resume or his application to play basketball further in his life, and wanted to make sure that he could put together a resume for that. And he knows, hey man, we're on TV. Everybody's watching us. We're the 2 seed in this tournament. Let me go show everybody who doesn't know who I am. And, hey, man, take me off the bench. It doesn't matter because I can steal the show wherever you put me.
And I'm playing starter minutes.
Best 6 man in the country.
I'm playing starter minutes. That's the other thing. You sit there and you know, that's why I was asking you guys yesterday, what do you think would be the best fit? Would it be him still coming off the bench, or would it be more important to have him start? It don't matter because he's playing starter minutes. It doesn't matter because he goes out there and he brings it every single game. It's been so fun to watch this young man grow, watch the way he plays, and watch the way he just kind of takes over basketball games. And it's so smooth how he does it. He made one shot that was a layup that wasn't a 3-pointer, and he had pump faked on the outside and had the lane where he could get there because they were like, well, I may not fall for the pump fake, but I have to defend it because he's been knocking down threes the entire time. So I got to go guard this.
And I mean, and look, he's going to get his chance to get even more starter minutes because they're about to play a team in Penn State that likes to play 4 guards.
Yep.
And likes to play small. And Texas, you know, you're kind of playing in a Texas hand with this.
I was just about to say,
Hey, man, we like to go small. Like, really? Please.
Like, please do.
Please just don't go big on us.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But, yeah, if you want to go small against Texas and allow, you know, all Texas guards to be out on the court at the same time, that it becomes harder for you because they can defend.
Yep, they can defend. And that's the beautiful thing about it, too. So I'm excited about tomorrow. Rod, I'm sure we're about to get into that as well. So I'll let you take it away, brother.
No, it's the Penn State matchup for Texas. It does kind of remind you of Colgate a little bit too. They like to shoot the 3-point shot.
They do like to shoot.
That's their bread and butter pretty much. Texas defends the 3-point line really, really well. So I think that's also something that's advantageous to Texas, along with the fact that, yes, they like to go small and go with a lot of go with guards, veteran guards, by the way.
Yep.
So they got four of their 5 starters are seniors. A few of those are 5th-year seniors. Oh, that's an ugly fall. Yep. Sorry, looking at the tournament there. Sorry. Yep. Anyway, but four of those 5 guys are seniors, and I believe you got 5th-year seniors there too. So that is something that Texas will have to deal with, that maybe Texas' veteran experience, which I think they're one of the most experienced teams in the country, especially with tournament experience, doesn't it's something that I think it holds a lot of value the deeper and deeper they go into the tournament, that this is also an experienced team, not really necessarily tournament experience, but an experienced team nonetheless. So I do think it's going to be a good matchup for Texas. I think it's favorable for Texas.
Yeah.
But if they get hot from three-point range and you're not hot, I mean, that's the three-point shot. We said it yesterday. The biggest variable, the biggest factor in upsets or blowouts in the tournament is the three-point shot, pretty much.
Yeah.
The disparity and how lopsided it is. And Texas just showed you in that Colgate game, they were the ones who were able to get hot from three-point range, shooting close to 57%. And then Colgate had their worst three-point shooting performance of the season, and they were the best three-point shooting team in the country. That flip of the script ended up being the total headline of the game. That was the narrative.
Yeah, and Penn State shot 59% from three in that game last night. Andrew Funk, he goes 8 for 10 from three. That is going to be the assignment, how Texas likes to try and remove a guy from the game, and Texas is going to try and ball deny somebody. I have a feeling Andrew Funk may be that guy, at least to start with the game, to say, hey, man, let's not let him even get started in the first half. Let's just try and ball deny him and get Tyrese Hunter on him and just stick on this guy and let the rest of the team do what they can, and we'll try and figure it out from there. But he may be the guy.
Jalen Pickett?
Andrew Funk, who went 8 for 10 in the game last night.
For Penn State.
Yeah.
For Penn State.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, what about Jalen Pickett?
I think you're going to have to go after him too. I'm just saying, Andrew Funk, if you're going, hey, this guy can hit threes on us at that level, you may have to remove him from a point and then play defense on Jalen Pickett. But in that sense of if we focus too much on Jalen Pickett and Andrew Funk hits another 8 threes on us, it's hard to win 2 games when they're shooting 59% from the three.
Well, and they shot 81% from the free throw line as well. They only shot 11 free throws, and that's something too that Texas didn't have to do because they were feeling so good behind the arc that they didn't have to attack the rim near as much as they normally would if they were struggling from three. That's the one thing for both of these teams. If they keep falling in love with the three-point shot and they're not falling, what are they going to do to adjust to make sure that they continue to attack the rim and get open looks? I'm excited about this game strictly in the fact that both of these teams are coming in after a great performance and absolutely they put on a show yesterday. Which team can duplicate that again, knowing that after this game, we head up to the Sweet 16. So that is how I'm going to see which team can make an adjustment coming back after playing one of your best games of the season. Because you know as well as I do, Ron, it's hard to play that perfect night in and night out, especially when the intensity is picking up as well. You got to have that heart rate at the right levels. You got to have your focus at the right levels. You can't rest on your laurels and be like, oh, yeah, we did that yesterday. Well, your opponent did it too. So you got to be ready to go. Both teams are not stumbling into this game after, we just skated by that. No, we balled.
Yeah, no, and I mean they have some ballers. Like I said, Jalen Pickett, he leads the team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. He's the catalyst. It all goes down through him. But you're right, Andrew Funk, he got all funky. Last night got functified on the Aggies.
The brat.
Yeah, dropped 8 of 10 on them. And, yeah, everybody thought we were going to get a Texas A&M old-school rivalry matchup in the second round. That is not to be. Penn State decided, no, we're getting tired of all that talk because everybody kind of forgot about Penn State in that matchup, considering everybody a lot of the talk was Texas A&M was actually, they were underseeded.
Yeah, that's what what's their AD Bjork? He was, oh my God, we need to see who's in charge of all this stuff. We need to see what people put this thing together. I need to do an investigation on the committee. You got plenty of time to do your research, homie, because you are not involved in this game anymore.
Yeah, it happened for Texas, though, on the other side. Right? Was it 2016? Oh, yeah. Texas lost to Northern Iowa, and it was supposed to be the next round was the Texas A&M matchup, and then we didn't hold up our end of the bargain.
It was a heave from half court on that shot. That's why they ended up losing.
Oh, man. Yeah. So we'll get some updates on the tournament. We'll talk about our brackets, how busted they are, because at this point, everybody's bracket is a little busted. We'll get into some of the updates about the games that are currently going on and the ones that have already been settled with the tournament. We'll get you that update. Also, coming up next, speaking of hoops, we got to start talking some NBA. There's a new favorite for the MVP. The MVP has pretty much been it's been a conversation that has been one-sided, I should say, all season long. So it really hasn't been a hot topic. Everybody's pretty much assumed that Jokic's going to win his third in a row.
And I think it's third consecutive. Yeah, he
Third.
was going for the three-peat.
Look, we've
third
understood it's going to someone who's not an American.
Yeah.
We know that.
Well, yeah, because you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The Greek Freak or Luca.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Or someone from
Luka's not in it anymore.
Cameroon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, actually.
Yeah.
But there now, at least based on Vegas odds, there's a new favorite for the MVP. So now we actually can start having a conversation about NBA MVP. We'll do that on the other side. Also, MJ, the GOAT. Who right now has been the owner of the Charlotte Hornets. He's thinking about Charlotte Hornets, Bobcats.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, the Hornets.
It's the
They're
Hornets. It's the
They
Hornets.
They started as the Bobcats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Then they
they're the
got
Hornets.
the name back.
Man, my bad. See, now I'm old school. See,
You
I'm
see,
going
old
back to
school.
the Bobcats. Yeah. All right. Snap. But he is thinking about selling the team. That is the word on the streets that MJ wants to sell the team. I don't even know why he would want to sell the team and what MJ would get into other than that, but that is the report, so we'll talk about that as well. Also, I got a weird, crazy stat about the Golden State Warriors that I couldn't believe it when I read the stat. I had to go check it and went down the rabbit hole checking it. We'll get into that on the other side. Talk a little NBA and give you updates on the NCAA tournament. We're talking hoops all day long right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Hardball Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at All Stat Beer. St. Patrick's Day is here, and what better way to enjoy St. Patrick's Day than making a trip out to the All Stat Brewery. Allstat is true German beer made with 100% true German ingredients. It's brewed right up the road in the Texas Hill Country in Fredericksburg, Texas at the Allstat Brewery. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. Make sure you go out there and try some. Matter of fact, enjoy some fine dining in their restaurant, and they also have a tap room that I know a lot of people are probably enjoying today. So plan a trip today and see it for yourself. It's the weekend. It's St. Patrick's Day. There's a party going on. They have live music going as well. Go to allstatbeer.com to find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Regardless, make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% true German ingredients. That means German hops, malts, and yeast, and of course made with that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams and selections from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Cowboy Diplomacy, and they are playing today at Eisenhower's.
Oh, I like that. Cowboy Diplomacy.
You saw them when you came down to
when I went downtown?
the Christmas Jam.
Oh, is this the guy that had the really cool,
Yes.
with the band had the cool jacket?
Yes.
Oh, dude, he's legit. And that dude's voice is amazing.
Yeah.
The lead singer? Yeah. His voice,
Cool
it doesn't,
stuff.
yeah, it doesn't really match him, but when you hear him belt it out, you're like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I really did enjoy that. All right. You can hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. That's why I enjoy 512 Friday. My man Patrick always broadening our horizons a little bit. I want to get into some NBA here, gentlemen, because we haven't talked a ton of NBA, but it's about that time. We're talking a lot of tournament right now. Matter of fact, let me give you a tournament update before we get into this NBA discussion. Got a couple of tournament news, notes, and nuggets to hit. Okay, so right now, just giving you the update on the current games. Marquette is a 2 seed. They are beating up on Vermont, a 15 seed, 69-50. Nice. Iowa State right now, 6 seed, is losing to Pitt, 11 seed, 28-23. There's about 41 or like 30-something seconds left in the first half. Their Vermont game, Vermont losing 50-69 to Marquette. Shaka doing his thing. That is about 7 minutes left in the second half of that one. Right now, Creighton, a 6 seed, is up 24-22 on the 11 seed NC State. And there's about 3:30 left in the first half of that one. And then the games that have already been settled so far today, you do have Baylor beating UC Santa Barbara. That's a 3 seed beating a 14 seed, 74-56. You have Xavier beating Kennesaw State, a 3 seed beating a 14 seed, 72-67. And you have St. Mary's, a 5 seed beating a 12 seed VCU, 63-51. And Michigan State, 7 seed beating as 10 seed USC, 72-62. There you go. So those are the games that have already been decided. All right, let's get into a little NBA talk here, gentlemen. We haven't talked a ton of NBA because we usually dive deeper into it. We've gotten to a little bit, but one of the topics that has been a hot topic, I should say, in the NBA circles has been the MVP as of late, because the Vegas Wise guys, they have decided that the Nikola Jokic, who has been the front runner for the MVP and had the best odds to win his third consecutive MVP, third straight MVP, that is now shifted. So now, for the first time, exactly 1 month ago, sportsbooks viewed Jokic as the front runner to win his third straight MVP. Now, it looks like Joel Embiid is now the front runner to win the MVP this season, based on my good friends at MyBookie. Shout out to them. And also, you start looking at it, he's at plus 110. I think Jokic now is at plus 150. And Giannis, the Greek freak, is at plus 340. And right now, I was just looking at a really cool, deep breakdown. I want to say it's Tom Haberstroh, I believe is his name, so I'll give him credit. He was looking into a study about all like basically all the MVPs, and he looked at MVPs and their supporting cast, and he wanted to find out how often MVPs played with an all-star, an all-NBA, or an all-defensive player. So just really a credentialed supporting cast. All right, and he found that Nikola Jokic is the only MVP that he could find that did not have any members of his supporting cast, any of his teammates that were all-stars, all-NBA, or all-defense.
That's interesting to me. And the only reason why I say it's
crazy?
interesting to me is because Jamal Murray is that guy.
That's wild.
But he's been hurt a lot. And that is why I don't think he's been considered. But he's a hooper that is an all-star in my mind. He's an all-pro, but he's not getting that kind of voting because the dude never stays healthy. So to your point, that makes a lot of sense, because if you look at anybody else that's on his team, They're not ready
He's
for
had
that.
2 MVPs.
Yeah.
He's had 2 MVPs, and he's never had a teammate who's all-star, all-NBA, and all-defense, which is why nobody ever picks Denver
Right.
to make a run. It's
That's
like, no, I'm
right.
not picking Denver. It's just a Jokic show.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, and I agree with Arch. Jamal Murray's a really good player, and him being able to stay on the court has been the problem. They have some other good players. Michael Porter Jr. is also
Michael
there.
Porter, he's
another
always
guy
hurt.
who is always
Yeah.
hurt.
He was
so
hurt in college.
They have good players. Yeah, he slipped in the draft because of back issues.
Yeah.
So they have good players on that team, but it was built in a way of we can afford these guys because of injury history or whatever else. And so that's how they've been able to keep it. And now they just put more and more guys that fit with Jokic around him. It is weird that they haven't been able to get that next star out of it. And I think they keep wanting Jamal Murray to be that guy, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yep.
It's a travesty, man.
But, I mean, if you look in Philly, if you look at whole court presence and everything else, I mean, like, James Harden's a good player, and he plays games where he's really good, and then you'll watch other games where James Harden really isn't doing
He's not
much.
even a factor.
And he's not a factor, and
Yeah.
Embiid is having to take over the entire game by himself.
Well, I'm gonna go on the record. I thought Embiid should have got it last year. I thought he was one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA, and that's why a lot of people were frustrated with it. But what Joel Embiid has done over the last 3 seasons is definitely MVP worthy. Now, is his team not winning championships? Absolutely. But the Joker's team is not winning championships. Rod just told you they don't even have an all-star on that squad. So it just drives me nuts when everybody keeps wanting to say it's because of this reason or that reason. But the simple fact is, if you're really watching the game, because remember when Russell Westbrook got the MVP, everybody was talking about his triple doubles. And then all of a sudden the next year they were like, well, he always gets triple doubles. It's the same thing with the Joker. We know what you're going to get from the Joker the entire time. And Embiid has been exceeding him. If you go back and you look at the stats and you look at the numbers that he has been putting up, he's outscoring him by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and the MVP voting race in NBA is always somewhat like there will be seasons where, 3 guys deserve it.
Right.
And then you get to a season like this where you're like, yeah, the 3 guys deserve it. But you know what? Maybe we give it to the guy who we've kind of snubbed a couple times. And we know he is MVP in Philadelphia. He was the governor or the mayor proclaimed him most valuable Philadelphian after last season when he did not win MVP, which was like, yeah, I don't think he's showing up to that ceremony, guys. I think he might be a little more mad about the MVP stuff.
That's not a prize that he wants to win. That's trust me.
Well, the
But
other thing too.
Let me throw this out there real quick though. Since the NBA All-Star break, he is averaging 35 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, and 4.2 assists, 2.5 blocks, and a steal, while shooting 56% basically from the field and 36% from three-point range. So basically, since the All-Star break, he has been a monster, and they had a head-to-head matchup in late January. Embiid finished with 47 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 threes. They did win the game, by the way, the 76ers, if that matters to you. Jokic had just 24 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 threes, and 7 turnovers in that head-to-head matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
trying
a
to make a
monster.
statement.
Well, and then I'll go even further because you can look at what Giannis is doing. He's another one. He's carrying his team as well. So it's interesting when we come down to it. But we've talked about this before. There were years where you could have gave it to Michael Jordan every single year. There were years when you could have gave it to LeBron every single year, and they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
They just refuse to do it, which is crazy to me when the award is called the most valuable player. To me, it's if they take you off the team, what would they be? And I'm a strong believer in that. And if you're going to vote, I think that is how you need to look at your vote. It's like, well, it doesn't have to be. It's like the Heisman. It's like if this dude is the best player in college football, why does he have to be a quarterback to give it to him?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what are we doing?
I think they basically, I agree, because you can make the case for all those guys carrying their teams at one time or another, because if you look at games played between teams that are currently over 500, so the best teams in the NBA, Milwaukee, best record, they're 22-10. Denver's right behind them at 18-9, then it's Philly.
Yeah.
18-10. So
I think they won.
Those are your three teams with the 3 best players right now. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, I think at one point I remember Milwaukee won like 16 straight games, and it was all convincing. They were just like whooping people.
I think I remember this.
I'm
too.
like, goodness gracious. And you go back and look at Giannis's
And right now,
numbers.
that's Philly.
Yeah, and
Philly,
that's what
I think,
Philly's
has won
doing right
like
now.
6 or 7 straight, something like that. Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of what Joel Embiid brings to the court every single time. I'm a big fan of his personality and the way he carries himself as well. So I would be disappointed if Joel Embiid didn't finally get his MVP this year.
I think voter fatigue will give it to Embiid if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah.
There's nobody will give Jokic his third in a row if it's highly contested. They just won't do it. I don't think.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it, but we'll see. I mean, because Jokic, obviously, his numbers, they obviously
Impressive.
Yeah, they back up his claim for a third straight. Since we're talking NBA, I told you about that strange, weird Golden State Warriors stat. So the Warriors are right now 29-7 at home, and they are 7-27 on the road.
Awful.
That is unbelievable.
Awful.
That's one of the biggest disparities in NBA history in terms of road to home win-loss record. 29-7 at home, 7-27 on the road. That's crazy. Right now,
Which makes no sense.
Draymond Green has more technical fouls on the road than the Golden State Warriors have wins on the road.
Yeah.
That's a real stat. He's got 10. They only got 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That is crazy. I've never seen anything like that. And for it to be the Golden State Warriors of all teams.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. You could see it with some of these other teams that are not as well coached as we like to say. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're sitting there going, "Are you serious? Like how are you not better on the road with all the players that you have?"
I mean, my guess is they're just old and hurt, and they just once you put them on a plane, it takes them like 3 days to walk right again.
It's like my mom.
Yeah,
It's my mom.
that's all I got for you.
I gotta go drive to see my mom. Like, I can't get mom on a plane. Mom on a plane. She on the cover for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Come
No,
on.
that's my guess.
That's a good point.
I have no idea what it is.
That is
that's
crazy.
That is a weird stat. Yeah, they should be doing better, but sometimes teams trail off on certain things because they're not mentally over the fact that they won a championship last year and they didn't think they would.
That could be it too. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they are psychologically, but that's just a strange random stat. Okay, so let's get to this MJ news while we got some time in this segment. So it's been during a recent sit-down interview. I believe it was Michael Jordan was asked about a number of different things, and I guess one of the things that's come out of that is he's engaged in serious talks to sell the Hornets.
Sell his majority stake up in it
to sell his majority stake. The Hornets minority owner Gabe Plotkin and Hawks minority owner Rich Schnall are in line to take over per ESPN. Adrian Wojnarowski had to report that sources say Charlotte Hornets owner Michael Jordan is engaged in serious talks to sell a majority stake in the franchise to a group led by Hornets minority owner Gabe Plotkin and Atlanta Hawks minority owner Rick Schnall.
Yeah.
End of an era.
Well, I think he still might try to keep a minority part of it, but I'm also thinking too. You don't forget he just won NASCAR. Like his car won a couple weeks ago, I believe. And I think maybe he's trying to figure out, should I be more into racing right now? Because this basketball thing ain't working for me.
Maybe he's getting tired of losing.
Exactly.
Every single time.
And him being a part of it.
Yeah, hey, man, you're the GOAT. You may be the worst owner. Like, you're getting bad. Like, it's just getting worse and worse. They're now they're hoping that the Spurs mess up the tank.
Yeah.
And they get a squeeze in there and then have a hope. Because also, if they get their one overall pick, he'd sell that team in a heartbeat, knowing that that price goes up a ton if you get Victor Wembanyama. But I think, he needs to get out of the business of ownership.
Yeah.
I don't think he's cared enough as an owner. And when he did care, the only way he knows how to do that is by going and trying to beat every single one of the players and tell them they suck. I don't think any young players talk positively about their times working with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, you never hear the stories like, man, he was so great. He taught me these things. He's like, no, he just came into practice and wanted to play one-on-one with everybody. and then
cussed me out.
Yeah, and then cussed you out and talked so much trash and then left.
I'm
Hey.
55 years
Hey,
old and
you
I
know
just
what?
beat you.
That's what billionaires can do.
That is what they can do.
buy professional teams just for their fantasy.
You know what it probably was?
exploits.
He probably lost a one-on-one game and was like, sell the team.
Yeah. And you know what? If Jerry Jones was younger when he bought the Cowboys, he'd been out there too.
Yeah,
He'd be
that's
out there,
true.
you know what, guys?
And they
we're
just call him coach.
I'm gonna run y'all through some drills.
They do call him coach.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
That's what I'm saying. When you're a young billionaire, oh man, two things I try to do. I'd try to be Batman. I'd probably fail miserably, and I definitely would buy a team so I could just basically make it my fantasy team, my fantasy sports
Yeah.
team.
Did you just say you try to be Batman?
I would try.
Right, don't-
I would try. I don't know why no billionaires tried it
You know
already.
why? You know
Bruce
why?
Wayne's
Because
doing
you know
it.
why? Because no one wants to be like Bill Gates found dead, dressed up as a bat.
You don't have to be. You can't steal Batman's
No, I'm saying,
persona.
but
you
you
gotta
can
have
be-
your own persona.
but
You know what I
when-
mean?
when
Be a
you try and stop the-
vigilante crime fighter of some kind, not stealing Batman stuff. But you're a billionaire. You can afford. I'll buy all the technological stuff. You know they got like a. You know
You
they got
could create
You
some
know they got
stuff,
an
yeah.
invisibility cloak that they created at the University of Texas for the military. You can buy stuff like that. Right? You can have stuff like that's what Bruce Wayne does. He has all the best technological advancements in war, so he just basically uses those in urban warfare against crimes, against crime
Hey, you know
criminals
what?
and stuff.
Maybe
Just crime fighting efforts.
You know what? Maybe
Yeah.
LeBron. I think he might be the
LeBron
only
can do
guy.
it.
He might be the only
Just
billionaire
saying.
who's in shape enough to do it.
That is true. LeBron could do it, but his
Most of these guys, you make money making
LeBron could do
computer
it.
parts.
That's
You're
a-
probably not.
He wouldn't win it. You know what? He's done winning titles. He might as well do some good with his athleticism.
Right.
The title.
He's done. He's just trying to hang around
Hey man,
for his
His
career.
ring
hey man, what
chase is
happened?
over.
Batman's foot hurts. crime. I'll stop crime in 2 weeks.
Can't do it. Load management is why LeBron James, billionaire, cannot be Batman. He's load management, apparently.
Hey, the Joker, we need you. I can take the night off.
I got to play the Golden State Warriors in 2 weeks.
It's
I got to
okay.
get it right.
If it's at home, you can beat them because they don't do well on the road.
Full circle. Full circle. All right, we'll come back. We got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Hey, what's up, fellas? This your boy Hardball Harsh. Let's have a serious conversation right now. You know, I'm talking about in the bedroom. You know, we like to walk around with a lot of confidence and act like, you know, we're running things. You always want to be prepared. When I was playing baseball, I never wanted to step on the field without being prepared. And I want you to do the same thing when you step into the bedroom. I want you to holler at my friends at Blue Chew. Go to bluechew.com today, and I can get you set up. And I'll give you the code here in just a second. But Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis, but it's in a chewable form, and it is also at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets are like a performance enhancement for the bedroom, so you can maintain and gain that extra confidence when it's time to perform. Blue Chew is an online prescription service that makes sure that you have no doctor's office visits, you have no awkward conversation, and there's no waiting in line at the pharmacy talking about, Mike, we got your pills over here. You don't want that because it comes to your door and it's discreet. Let's make sure you understand that. Sign up now at bluechew.com. Consult with one of their online licensed medical professionals. And once you're approved, you'll receive the prescription within days. The best part, as I told you, it's all online. So if you could benefit from that extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit bluechew.com. And here's a special offer for you. Try Blue Chew for free when you use the promo code HARDBALL at checkout. Just pay $5 for the shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code HARDBALL, all one word, and you get your first month free. Get that confidence with bluechew.com.
512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 1049 The Horn. That's when we play jams from local bands and artists who you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Favor, and they are playing today at Sonny's Backyard.
All right, there you go. If you miss any of these selections for 512 Friday, go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them there, and you can sound really cool in front of all your friends and family. Also, go to flxatx.com or go to flxatx on all your social media platforms. Some great content up there for you, especially if you're a fan of high school hoops here in the Central Texas area. You can go check that out. Also, a lot more information from my man Anthony Williams, actually, and the FBU Austin Westwood. They're going to have also FBU Austin information about like football camps that they've done and showcases they've done. You can go check that out at flxatx.com as well. Also, you can go there and check out potentially podcasts that the guys are going to have for you instead of the show. Usually we have a flex show on Wednesdays, every Wednesdays. They didn't have that because we have broadcast responsibilities for Texas baseball. Of course, you got tournament going on, Texas basketball. So you can go check out flxatx.com. They still got you covered there with the podcast. Got you covered at flxatx and all your social media platforms as well. So go check that out. All right, we come back. We got NFL news, notes, and nuggets to get to. The Cowboys did re-sign Cooper Rush. The backup quarterback market was heating up, so the Cowboys did make a move. We'll talk about that. There was a move I wanted the Cowboys to make that they did not, and now this player has moved on, and I believe to a team that is going to be very happy and benefit from a very team-friendly contract. I should say that at a position that the Cowboys needed. We'll get into that as well. And also Zeke. There is interest in Zeke. A couple of teams have come up in discussions about Zeke and where he'll end up. We'll talk about that as well. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104 Now The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Local and Rod Davis here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. It's my go-to tequila. It should be your go-to tequila, too. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave nectar, and tequila. And the recipe, cinnamon, agave nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. I actually was letting that go on a little too long because I was enjoying it. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Joe James. He's playing today at the Hill Country Galleria.
Oh, man. Joe Jam. Write it down.
It's just J-O.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe James.
Just writing down Joe James. What's the name of this song?
This is Do You Want Me?
Do you want me? Okay. All right.
Yay.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I love the voice.
Smooth.
Yeah, I do. I love
Smooth.
it. Very soulful. That's what 512 Fridays are all about, broadening our horizons, giving us a lot of different musical artists to check out. And if you miss any of them, you can go check them out at hornfm.com. My man Patrick gets them posted up there for you. All right, we'll get back to tournament discussion. We'll give you an update on the games happening right now. I'll also give you an update on the games that have already been settled in the tournament. We'll give you that coming up here momentarily. But I want to get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets, mainly to do with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into that. But here's the big news from the Cowboys, and I know you appreciate this, Hard. You've been talking about backup quarterback for a while. The Cowboys, they bring Cooper Rush back to be their backup quarterback after Marcus Mariota signed with the Eagles, I believe, to be their backup. Gardner Minshew ended up signing with the Colts to be their backup. So the backup quarterback market got a little hot, and I think the Cowboys got a little nervous potentially that somebody might reach out to their guy, Cooper Rush. They decided to get that done. 2-year, $6 million deal. And, you didn't have a lot of faith early on in Cooper Rush, but I think he won you over as a Cowboys fan.
He did well enough to satisfy for now. I mean, my biggest question is, I'm glad that they did it because obviously, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is not being able to have a backup quarterback, because in the NFL and any position, I mean, that's the most important one, and you need to have yourself a backup quarterback. But the one thing that I was curious to, and was he going to get signed by anybody else?
I think somebody might have reached, because Kellen Moore, I mean, that might have been a concern. Who's the Chargers backup? Do we know?
I think it's Chase Daniels.
I wasn't sure.
I'm saying I think it's Chase Daniels.
Chase Daniels, but I think they got word that somebody might try to take Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know if you needed to be worried. I'm not sure.
Right.
But I know the backup quarterback market started to heat up.
So let me ask you this. Do the Cowboys still need to go out and draft a quarterback?
The Cowboys, you know how I feel. I've been saying the Cowboys should always be trying to draft quarterbacks. Sure. You ain't got to draft them early, but you should be trying to draft a quarterback. And for a team that's drafted the second fewest quarterbacks in the NFL since 1999, and yet they end up drafting pretty good quarterbacks.
Yep.
Dak was a good pickup. Mike White, who's the backup in Miami now, he was a good draft pick for him. Hell, Ben DiNucci is the best damn quarterback in the XFL, I believe, right now. For people who are watching the XFL, I believe DiNucci is lighting up the XFL. Well, not lighting it up. He's the best quarterback in the XFL, whatever the hell that means. My point is, Cowboys are better at drafting quarterbacks than they actually realize, and they should draft more quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You should do it. So I'm with you. Draft a quarterback this year.
Yeah.
And then you can cut Cooper Rush next season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Find a young backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially since he's aging, and Dak has had multiple seasons now where he's missed multiple games.
Yeah, he's been injured quite a bit lately, and he's not been that Teflon Don, so to speak, where he's been able to bounce back quick.
No, the NFL set a record for 64 different starting quarterbacks this season, an NFL record. So nobody is that. I mean, we had in the NFL playoffs, we were looking at third-string quarterbacks for the 49ers, for the Miami Dolphins, hell, for the Ravens. We got teams playing third-string quarterbacks in the playoffs, guys. So that, I believe it tied for the most, different starting quarterbacks in a non-strike NFL season. My point being, a lot of NFL quarterbacks had to play this year. Hell, even at the college level, look in the Big 12, only one team had went throughout the entire season without having to go to a backup quarterback, and I believe that was Iowa State's starting quarterback. I forget his name right now off the top of my head. But still, you need a backup quarterback. I would say everything valuable in our life, we take out insurance on: life, house, health, car. The quarterback is the most valuable position, arguably, in all of sports, and the insurance on the quarterback position is the backup quarterback position. And I think more teams need to take it, prioritize it, take it seriously. And I think the Cowboys like what they have in Cooper Rush, but you should always be investing in the quarterback position. So yes, they should draft a quarterback in this draft.
I dig it. I'm down with that. Yeah, no doubt. somewhere in the draft, they definitely need to look at that. And that's why, excuse me, that's why when they made this decision to draft him, I was like, all right, cool. I mean, not draft him, re-sign him. I was like, at least we know what we get from him. He's going to go out there and do the best that he can, play some good football, and then you got to see what the other team is. We've got to see what the other teams are if Dak were to get hurt, because he did well until he played against Philadelphia, and then that defense made him look like a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
Because
you
know what? They had film on him. Like you always talk about, they got film on you. They're going to start making adjustments and taking things away from you that made you comfortable.
No, you're right about that. I don't disagree with that at all. That's the reality of it. But I think he surprised all of us.
Yeah.
By exceeding expectations when Cooper Rush was in there. So we like our guys.
Our guys.
That's the Cowboys' favorite 4 words. We like our guys.
Yep.
And they actually were right about liking Cooper Rush. Speaking of the Cowboys, continue the Cowboys conversation. I got this quote from Mike Fisher. And Mike Fisher does a great job covering the Cowboys. But this is a quote from the Combine, actually. And it's from Stephen Jones. So apparently Stephen Jones at the Combine admitted that he wanted to add juice to the offense. He said, quote, offensively, we've just got to maybe add a playmaker to it, add a little juice, add a playmaker to it, and see if we can do that. What does he mean by juice? Are we talking about, not the juice or Renthal Jane? No, not that juice, and not the juice that Tupac was referring to either in the movie.
Right.
I'm thinking he's talking about a playmaker and actually a game-changing presence on offense. And there's been rumors that they think Odell Beckham Jr. could be that guy. I think Harge and I we both agree. We don't think he is that. He can be an addition and he can contribute. I don't think he's a game-changing presence anymore as a receiver. Now, if you went and you got DeAndre Hopkins, maybe that would be that. But DeAndre Hopkins is way too expensive for the Cowboys.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about a receiver that's going to be upwards of $26, $27 million per year. They're not going to pay that for a receiver. It's just not. He's top 4 highest paid receivers.
Unless he's going to take a pay cut.
Which he ain't going to do.
Exactly. Not this stage of the game. He wants all his bread.
So I wonder where they're going to get this. Because I think they've been looking for this playmaker or this juice for the offense for a while. But we know as free agency started, they focused on the defense.
Yep.
Bringing back Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, and then going to get Stephon Gilmore. I remember you had Harge on, you had, was it Goose Goslin you had on?
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, listen, there are 2 ways to win a title in the NFL for the most part. Elite quarterback or elite defense / pass rush. The Cowboys are actually closer to being the latter than the former. He agreed.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the Cowboys agree now too. And maybe that's why they're like, no, we need to load up on defense, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be our bread and butter. Offense is going to complement the defense. That's why Mike McCarthy's talking about running the ball now. And maybe they're not going to put so much of the pressure on Dak. And they're going to say, hey, you know what? Defense is going to win us titles, and we're going to be a defensive-oriented, defensive-minded team. They still need weapons on offense, and I don't know where they go other than the draft right now to add a game-changing playmaking presence.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it, too. You want to sit here and try to figure out what's the next move. I'm done. I'm confused on what they try to make happen. And in the juice player that they're thinking of, I'm not looking at him. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's a Jaron Judy, because I've seen some conversations about a possible trade with the Denver Broncos, because maybe Jared Judy does not want to be there anymore in Denver. Maybe that's a possibility.
No,
I don't know.
I think they put the kibosh on that too. I believe the report out now is that Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, neither one of them are up for a
I would
trade.
definitely take Sutton, because I think Sutton would have been a better number 2 for but I love the fact that Jerry Jeudy could stretch the field and all that other stuff. But if Sean Payton wants to keep those guys with him and give him another opportunity with Russell Wilson, that's going to be huge then. That's going to be really a big move for them. It's just frustrating because every time you think you're going to make a play, Rod, just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. Jerry refuses to bring in a big-name person. I don't understand why. I don't understand, because I'm not asking you to go out and get a bunch. You just need one.
There's somebody out there who is willing, because I don't think you're going to give them the free agent market. There's no wide receivers that I like really on the free agent market to be that type of presence for the Cowboys. They're contributors,
Right.
but I don't think there are guys who can move the chains, but not guys that can change the game for you. And you're looking for guys who can help change the game, which means you got to go trade for somebody. Now you can try to get that guy in the draft, but that's just we all know that's more of a toss-up. You don't know if they're going to be able to have that type of impact early on, and you want to be in a win-now mode if you're the Cowboys, especially if you're Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
So you got to go trade for a big-time playmaker on offense. I think that's where the Cowboys got to go. They just made a really successful trade with Stephon Gilmore. There's somebody out there out of the 32 teams, or 31 other teams, I should say, that are willing to make a trade for one of their key offensive playmakers for a number of different reasons. Bloated contracts.
Yeah.
They want to move on. They're looking to stack draft capital for the future, whatever. Different reasons. Your job is to go find that person
Right.
in that team.
Right.
And they did a great job of it with Stephon Gilmore. People weren't even thinking about Stephon Gilmore for a
Was
trade.
not thinking about him.
Name didn't come up much. Cowboys made a move. There is somebody like that on offense with a team in the NFL. I guarantee you right
We
now.
just don't know who it is yet.
Exactly. That's part of what makes you a great GM or
Yep.
executive. You go out there and you make the deals, the art of the deal. Get it done.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be their best bet right now. Unless you get a Bijan Robinson in the first round because you deem he's that guy.
Yeah.
I doubt they go wide receiver in the first round.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll go tight end. How about this? Your boy Dalton Schultz? Crickets?
I told you.
Crickets?
Told you.
That might have been a really savvy move by the Cowboys.
Told you.
To say, you know what, go see what the free market says about your value, and then, call us back when you hear news.
Yeah.
Because right now, he's still out there.
No doubt.
Gesicki's out there too, at free agent and tight
Yeah.
end. If you've moved on from Dalton Schultz, another tight end that can go receive.
Gesicki, they're
yeah.
talking about, they're trying to make a move, and Bill O'Brien has actually been trying to get him to come to the New England Patriots. So there's a lot that's out there. There's a lot to try to unpack, and I'm glad you said that about the market. The market is telling you we're not paying you that top dollar for the tight end position, because especially I saw Hayden Hurst just signed with the Panthers, and his contract wasn't that great either.
Okay.
You know
There
what
you
I'm
go.
saying? So the market is telling you, I don't think we're going to do that this time.
Report from Inside the Star. Multiple sources. This comes from Fan Nation, Cowboys Country. Said multiple sources from Inside the Star suggest to us that there is an in-house debate over the concept at paying OBJ his price tag wish of $20 million. Or having basically a negotiation to try to get him down to what they think is a more reasonable figure of 11 to 13. Gallup makes 13 a year.
Yeah.
Hell, Juju just signed for $11 million a year.
That's what the market is telling you.
With New England, I believe it was he just signed with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you. Odell's got it. You ain't getting 20. I understand. I guess you start high in negotiations and then, you end up somewhere in the middle. Man, you ain't getting close to 20. I don't think anybody out there believes that Odell deserves 20.
No.
Him and his agent and his mama.
Yeah.
And his daddy. I think his daddy is big OJ.
So he did
Odell
sign
fan.
He did sign with the Patriots.
Oh,
I knew they
Gesicki
were
signed with
working.
the Patriots?
I
Okay.
knew they were working on it. And I do want to say this. So Hayden Hurst, his numbers were 3 years, $21.75 million with $13 million guaranteed at signing, $7.25 million for the 2023 season.
So it's a $7 million a year deal
yeah.
for him.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not getting that money that you think you're going to get, and I think they're trying to do the corrective part of the contracts now. And this is why we were talking about Lamar Jackson for so long. They're trying to correct the market the best way that they possibly can, because they're like, this money that we're paying is getting out of hand.
And I don't disagree with that at all. I think there's a lot of that going on micro levels and macro levels in the NFL too. I think you brought up the macro level of Lamar Jackson, no question. And the Cowboys are doing it on the smaller level here, telling Dalton Schultz, hey, go out there, go see what you could earn on the free market. And I think right now maybe he's not getting the number, not getting the response that he would have liked. But that's what free agency is all about, man. It's all about value, what your value is. Speaking of value, there are two reports, or I see one report, and then I saw one story, I should say. So one report. There is a report, though, that, and from multiple sources, Pat McAfee was talking about his show, that the Bucs are interested in Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
About Bucks already.
Yeah.
I thought it would take a while for a team to bring Zeke in. Not gonna lie,
no.
I thought it'd take maybe training camp, even in season potentially. I would not with how deep the running back market is in free agency. The free agent market is still really deep. Deontay Foreman just got signed.
Yep.
All right,
Which
just
I
got signed to go to the Bears.
not
And remember,
happy
I
about.
kept saying the Cowboys should sign Deontay Foreman because he'd be cheap. How much did I say Deontay Foreman was going to cost? Anybody remember? Remember how much I said he was going to cost?
Yep.
$2 to $3 million.
Yeah.
They signed him for $3 million for 1 year.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah. He's a
really
mercenary
cheap.
right now. He's
They
bouncing
really
from club
cheap.
to club.
I'm so upset the Cowboys didn't just get that cheap running back. Man, he's so cheap.
And it's so funny they
What
got
are you doing?
they got rid of David Montgomery, who went to the Lions, and then they bring in another back.
Yeah.
To come.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me how they make this thing.
Go look at
They
the
keep
age.
looking-
We got to look at age.
Right,
age
right,
is big
right,
with
right.
running backs. Age is big.
But my
so-
man was out of the league for a little bit. At least David Montgomery was still in the league.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. That's a great point. Great. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Running back sometimes that helps.
That does.
That means
no
that means,
hits on the
yeah,
body.
that means less. Less. You got more tread on the tires,
Yep.
less wear and tear. So sometimes that helps a little bit being away. But Deontay Foreman is certainly playing his best football
He
as a pro.
definitely is. And I wanted the Cowboys to get him.
And
You know
he's
what I'm saying?
cheap, man. I've been yelling for the Cowboys to do that.
Been saying
for
it from the beginning.
months.
As soon as the free agency started, you're like, oh, well, he's
For
going to be out
months.
there.
I was like, he was so cheap,
Yep.
so cheap. And all he really wants to do is stay in Texas.
Thank you.
So I think he would have given you a hometown discount
He
just to stay
definitely
in the
would have
state.
been that dude.
Can't believe the Cowboys missed on that one. That one hurts.
It's
that
the
one hurts.
Cowboys, Rod.
That one hurts, though. I know. But still, man, that one really does hurt. Okay, anyway, let's get back to more Cowboys news. The Tristan Hill signing, he is now a Brown. That's official, too.
Yep.
He is now a Brown, so that is also official. He signed a 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. And getting back to the Zeke thing, though, Zeke is right now, like I said, there's interest. And I think even mutual interest between he and the Bucks, but nothing official yet. And there's talk in H-Town. There are a couple of stories that talking about whether the Texans should be interested in Zeke.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Zeke is he does have a specific skill now as a
Yeah.
short yardage back. He obviously can't be your
And he
every
still
down
can
back.
run enough. If you needed to put him out there, he can still go out there and get the job done. But he's not the back that he once was. But I wanted to say this because you just brought up Tristan Hill. And if you look at the Dallas Cowboys and their history of the second-round pick, they could have traded it and got whoever they wanted. Well, or whoever would fit in that second-round pick. Because I'm going to take you all the way back to 2002. We had drafted Antonio Bryant and Andre Gerard, Al Johnson in 23, Jacob Rogers, Julius Jones, Kevin Burnett, Anthony Fasano, Martellus Bennett, Sean Lee, Bruce Carter, Gavin Escobar, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, and Jalen Smith, and Janobi Awuzie. Now, you look at all of those players, each one of those, and I still have more. So if you look at those three from Awuzie, Jalen Smith, Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, why do you think the Cowboys got those guys in the second round? All of those guys had issues. Every single one of them at the time. Randy Gregory was coming out of the program. He was coming out of Nebraska, where he had already failed drug tests going into it. DeMarcus Lawrence was hurt when he was coming out of the draft. Jalen Smith, we already know the situation about him at Notre Dame. And Awuzie I think he had another bad situation too coming out. Then they went Connor Williams, Tristan Hill, who is no longer with the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs, Kelvin Joseph, boss man, still having issues. Don't know if he's going to make it with the Cowboys, and Sam Williams. So you look at all of those draft picks. Sean Lee, when they got Sean Lee, he was dealing with issues coming out of Penn State because he was dealing with injuries when he was coming out of Penn State. Julius Jones was the only one that was a decent one when you start looking at them all. So that second-round pick does not always hit for the Dallas Cowboys. Just something to think about.
I don't disagree. Like I said, I think the Cowboys' best bet is to use trade capital and obviously draft capital to try to find a playmaker. I don't know if they're guaranteed to get that guy in the draft. I don't know if they're targeting that guy in the draft, and I don't know if that guy exists right now in NFL free agency. So yeah, if you think that this second round pick for the Cowboys can get you a playmaker, I would definitely think about trading it if I was the Cowboys.
No doubt.
But I don't know if they need to go as high as a second round pick.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, you just got Stephon Gilmore for what?
Yeah.
What did you get him for? A fifth round pick?
Yeah, that was great. It was outstanding.
If you're targeting a second round pick, I'm not sure that you actually need to go that high. I would start a little lower.
Yep.
And try to get
something
something for a third or
right.
fourth round pick. Because the truth is, a lot of teams just trying to get rid of salary too.
Yep.
They're trying to dump salary when they dump a lot of these contracts from players. Because someone here says, about DeAndre Hopkins, how much he's getting. I think Nate says D-Hop is $20 million a year. I think he's higher than that.
Yep.
I think D-Hop is around 20, 25, 26.
D-Hop this year, I believe his cap hit is around 30.
Yeah, it gets higher, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
and then it goes down the following year. So I think this year is 30, and then it's 26 next.
Yeah, so he's got a huge cap hit. We wish it was 20. It was 20.
Yeah, Cowboys is in there dancing.
Yeah, right,
We in there dancing, baby.
If 20 would be great. And it's not 20. The point is Cowboys misread the market, miscalculated the wide receiver market, and they should have kept Amari Cooper the entire time, like Card said. Should have just kept that dude.
Yep.
And paid him his $20 million.
Give him his bread,
and then you'd have been great. You'd have been great if you'd have had Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. You'd have had one of the most prolific passing offenses in the NFL.
What?
Cowboys misread the market there.
That's what they do.
Yeah, and they're doing it again, by the way. They did good
That's
on
what
the
they do.
Dalton Schultz tight end market read and prediction, but they've really screwed up the running back market, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think they've screwed it up again. I think they misread it. I think they, them basically putting the franchise tag on Tony Pollard, they could have went non-exclusive franchise tag, had cheaper. Who the hell was going to give up 2 first-round picks for Tony Pollard?
Yeah.
Nobody. So you could have went a cheaper tag on him.
Could have did both of them.
Or you could have not tagged him at all.
And if they did, goodbye Tony Pollard.
Exactly. So or you could have not tagged him at all because I don't think anybody in this running back free agency period, I don't know if they'd have picked up. They might have. That was a risk. It was a risk, and then you'd risk upsetting him too. So I get why you did it. They basically paid him for what he did last year and for him being kind of underpaid for his production the last few years. But man, like I said, this running back market, he's now one of the highest paid running backs in this market.
Yeah.
All those guys, all the running backs now in fantasy are getting like $6 million a year on average.
Jeez.
There's not been a running back yet who has signed a new contract, a new deal that makes them even in the top 12 highest paid running backs per season yet.
No doubt.
Cheap.
Very cheap.
You misread it.
You cheat.
Yeah, you misread the market. You could have easily gotten Top Pollard cheaper and some other ones cheaper too.
That's right.
All right. So all right, we come back. We'll get into some other NFL news. As a matter of fact, there's an Adam Schefter report that we have to get to. Adam Schefter, he's reporting on what the Panthers want to do with that top overall pick. Yeah, and Schefter's got a lot of reports out there, man. It's just
is busy.
It's a silly season.
And he is busy.
Yeah, he is busy. A lot of silly stuff going on. So we'll talk about what's real, what's fake. We'll get into that other NFL news notes and nuggets, but also we'll give you your tournament update. We'll give you the update on all the scores happening right now. We'll also give you the update on all of the tournament matchups that have been settled already, and we'll talk about how busted our bracket is. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to talk to you real quick. My boy just texted me that my man Patrick was playing some Joe James, and I was talking about Blue Chew. And he said, man, that sounds like a great date night. You know what? With Blue Chew, it can be a great date night because you always want to exude that confidence and you're always ready to perform when it's time to perform. Here's how you do it. You get to BlueChew.com and find out a little bit more. BlueChew.com is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis, but it's in a chewable form and it's only at a fraction of the cost. You want to make sure that you want to perform at a very high level. And everybody knows Baseball players were using PEDs to go out there and hit them home runs. You can use it the same way to hit your home run. Use Blue Chew. Go online right now, and you can set up an online account with BlueChew.com, and this is how you do it. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you are approved, you will receive your prescription within a few days. It's all done online. You don't have to go to the pharmacy. You don't have to wait in line at the pharmacy. It's shipped right to your door in a discreet package. And if you don't like swallowing pills, and I know most of you don't, it's in a chewable form, so it's a chewable tablet. So if you want to benefit with that extra confidence when it comes time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. And here's a special offer for you. Go to the website, BlueChew.com, type in the code Hardball at checkout, and you'll just pay $5 for the shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code Hardball, all one word, and you will receive your first month free. Go ahead and have that extra confidence and probably hit a home run with BlueChew.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. We play jams from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Reverend Few, and they are playing tonight backstage at El Mercado.
Oh, there you go. I like that. If you miss any part of any suggestions that were a part of 512 Friday, go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the website there at hornfm.com. All right, my man Harge, he is getting ready to call some Texas baseball games, as a matter of fact. They're playing the University of New Orleans. That weekend series starting tonight. That's why we're off a little bit early. We're off at 6:15. So we'll give you some more details about that coming up a little bit later on. But let's get you caught up with some of the tournament scores. We'll get you some of the updates in the tournament. Then we'll get back to talking some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Actually, got a couple of Cowboys stories that we want to hit to. So we'll get to that. But real quick, the Pittsburgh actually right now, 11-seeded Pittsburgh. They're up right now 44-30. Oh, man. Over 6-seeded Iowa State. Oh, man, I got to check my bracket. You also have...
Yeah, Iowa State started off that game ice cold.
Dude, I got to check my... That's another busted bracket right there, no question. I'm pretty sure I picked Iowa State in that matchup. Also, you got 6-seed Creighton right now, 56-47 lead over 11-seed NC State. Oh, by the way, that Pittsburgh-Iowa State game, about 6 minutes left in the second half. Should have told you that. With Pittsburgh up 44-30. 11-seeded Pittsburgh up 44-30 on 6-seed Iowa State. Also, the NC State game, you have Creighton, a 6-seed. They're up 56-47 on 11-seed NC State. About 6 minutes left in the second half there. And also, you have the UConn, 4-seeded UConn over right now. Actually, I take that back. I assumed that was the case. 4-seeded UConn losing to 13th seed Iona, 39-37. Whoa, at halftime. Didn't see that one coming. Got to check the bracket. Oh, man. Yep, my bracket is... I think the first day I had 4 losses after the first
You
day.
know what's bad? I'm not even looking.
Oh, you gave up?
Look,
you don't want to see that red?
I don't want to see the red on
You
there.
don't want to see all that red?
Say, you know what? Let's just look. I'll look tomorrow when everything's done in that first round and see how I'm doing in the next couple rounds.
Yeah, it's right, because all you really care about is the Elite Eight, the deep run. Elite Eight, Final Four. If you got that intact, you're still okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, the madness shouldn't be that sad. The madness should be sadness to you if you still have your Elite Eight and your Final Four intact. The other games that have already taken place today, Marquette. 2-seeded Marquette beat 15-seed Vermont 78-61. You had 3-seed Baylor beating 14-seeded UC Santa Barbara 74-56. 3-seed Xavier beating 14-seed Kennesaw State 72-67. You also had 5-seed St. Mary's beating 12-seed VCU 63-51, and Michigan State, a 7-seed, beating a 10-seed USC 72-62. That's your update on the madness. We'll get back to previewing previewing Texas' big win over Colgate, but also previewing their matchup coming up in the second round of the tournament versus Penn State. We'll do that coming up in the top of the 5 o'clock, so stick around for that. All right, let's get back to NFL news, notes, and nuggets. A couple of things I want to hit here, just real quick. I ranted about this yesterday, and even more proof of it today. And I'm not trying to rain on the Cowboys, parade, because I think the Cowboys have had a really good offseason so far, and I praise them for the Stephon Gilmore move. Now you got one of the top 3 best secondaries probably in all of the NFL after re-signing Donovan Wilson. Now you have arguably the best safety core in the NFL, one of the top 5 best cornerback duos in the NFL. Doesn't include guys like Deron Bland, the youngsters. So even your dime package is pretty damn good. That guy had 5 interceptions last year. Cowboys secondary looks like it's ready to lock down. Love it. It's one of the best secondaries in the NFL. And you brought back Leighton Vander Esch, really the big key to your run defense. He's going to be great. That also allows you to maximize and hybridize a guy like Micah Parsons. You can move him around the chessboard now that you have a stabilizing force at the off-ball linebacker. Oh, I love what the Cowboys have done this offseason. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size, but, all right, it is my job to be somewhat critical, point out the flaws, and I just think they royally miscalculated the market for running back. Now, they did a brilliant job of projecting the tight end market because Dalton Schultz, he ain't getting the offers and the responses that we'd have liked, so he might end up coming back to the Cowboys for a discount. Oh, it would be great. But the running back market right now, they ended up franchise tagging Tony Pollard. Here are the running backs now. I went back and gathered up all of the running back signees so far and what the contracts that they've signed for. Raheem Mostert signed a 2-year, $5.6 million deal. Samaje Perine signed a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. James Robinson, 2-year, $8 million deal. Alexander Madison, 2-year, $7 million deal. Deontay Foreman, Chicago got him for 1 year, $3 million. David Montgomery, he's got 3 years, $18 million, so it's 6 million per. Miles Sanders, 4 years for $24 million, so he's at $6 million per. Jamal Williams, 3 years, $12 million, so he's at $4 million per. You're paying Tony Pollard, a hurt running back, at $10 million for the franchise tag. Just saying, miscalculation. And like I said, I've been saying for months, you can go get Deontay Foreman what you're waiting on. He's cheap and he's hungry. And he's got a lot of tread left on the tires because he stumbled to start his career, didn't play a lot, and now he's just hungry and he's willing to play for cheap. Last year he had 914 yards, 5 touchdowns. Basically, basically from week 7 through 18, this is a great stat about Deontay Foreman. From week 7 to 18, he was basically as good, if not better, than Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb had 192 carries for 876 yards, 5 touchdowns, 41 missed tackles for us, 12 carries for 15 yards or more. Week 7 through 18, Deontay Foreman, same time period, 191 carries, 1 less carry, 876 yards, 5 touchdowns, 32 forced missed tackles, 12 rushes of 15 yards or more. Very similar numbers. So whatever Nick Chubb ends up getting paid, I mean, I'm just saying, and you ain't got to, like I said, you don't have to have a long-term investment in Deontay Foreman. That's the whole point. He was a short-term investment. It would have been really good. Point is, Cowboys, based on the deals that have been signed, even the top running backs in this class, and we'll see what, Kareem Hunt and those types of guys end up getting, but nobody's paying running backs $10 million per year, and no running back that is signed in this free agent class is even ranked in the top 12 highest paid running backs per year.
No, I mean, like, Austin Eckler should be getting paid around 10, 11, 12, something like that, because Austin Eckler is possibly the best running back in the game. And so if you're paying for the best 3 to 5 running backs in the game, it could get up there. Tony Pollard has not gotten close to proving that he is one of the best 3 to 5 running backs in the league. So, yeah, it's definitely overpaying. It's one of those things. I get why you didn't want to risk it.
I get too, and I understand because they want to start the offseason with no running back in their back because they knew they were going to cut. Well, Zeke
no, and they didn't want to, and that was probably their deal. Is I'm sure they were like, look, it's $10 million worth it to let us convince Jerry to get rid of Zeke. Because if we have to convince Jerry that and someone signs Tony Pollard, we are 100% keeping Zeke.
Yeah, I just think, it's a good point. But I think about reading the market is basically looking at the entire market. If you look at free agency, hell, like we just pointed out, a ton of good running backs that were out there in free agency. David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt still out there. Hell, Rashad Penny was signed. Rashad Penny got signed for pennies on the dollar. I believe he signed a 1-year deal. Didn't he sign a 1-year deal for like $3 million or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
He was cheap too. So that's what I'm saying. Like these guys are, you're getting really good running back. And I'll say Rashad Penny statistically is probably one of the best running backs out there. He averaged 6.2 yards per rush over the last 2 years. He averaged, if you look at it, his yards after contact per rush, he averaged 4.5 yards after contact per rush over the last 2 seasons. And he was with an average O-line in Seattle. He's going to be with the best O-line in the NFL now with the Eagles.
Yeah. No, that signing for the Eagles was very good. I think there was a point where Dallas has definitely missed the boat on,
you could have that guy.
Man, there are so many guys that are all going for way less than we thought anybody was going to go for. You could have added one of them, and I get you're already paying so much in that on your chart it says, hey, man, we can't really afford to spend anything more than the minimum or rookie salary to get somebody. But at a certain point, when you look at it and you go, hey, man, let's rob Peter to pay Paul, and we can take this off of somewhere else for this year because it's a 1-year deal, and go get a guy for $3 million who is going to be a huge upgrade on our second running back. Plus, we don't know how much time Tony Pollard's going to need to get back to where he can play 30 snaps, 20 to 30 snaps a game. So even if we're drafting somebody, and what do you want to do if you're at 26 and for whatever reason, Green and Bijan are off the table, and now you're like, all right, well, now our starting running back week 1 is one of these guys that is a good running back, but nobody pegged him to be the number 1 guy getting the 20 carries a game, 20-plus carries, in an offense that said you're going to run the ball a lot. Do you want your third-string running back to be your day 1 or third-round running back?
Yeah, I just think, like I said, it's to misread it this bad. To me, that's the unforgivable part, because we've been talking about all year long. It's going to be one of the deepest running back drafts in the last 10, 15 years, and it is, right? Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devin Achane, Zach Evans, Tank Bigsby. Hell, that kid, Tyjae Spears from Tulane, just ran a 4.4 at his pro day. I mean, the running back class is loaded. Rojo's in the 4th round somewhere. Loaded. We've been knowing that for a long time. Free agency, we know who's going to be a free agent. You know teams aren't going to – the only teams that franchise tagged running backs were the Cowboys. The Giants did it with Saquon Barkley, and they did it with Josh Jacobs. Come on, man.
I think that I
don't think Tony Pollard should be in that group. And Saquon Barkley, you could argue because of where they drafted him. But my point is, you misread the market, and it was an egregious miscalculation because we knew the free agent market was going to be deep. We knew the draft market was going to be deep. And now you got a bonus because the trade market, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, all up for trades too. And now looking at the free agents who have signed from that position, they're all going for very short deals, mercenary deals, and they're going for an average of around $4 to $5 million per. And these are good running backs still in their prime. That was a bad projection and a bad miscalculation, in my opinion, by the Cowboys there.
Yeah, I think also you can tell you that who's got the ear of Jerry Jones and the actual decision-making is probably Dan Quinn more, because we've seen those signings come from Dan Quinn, and we haven't seen the offense. And even though Stephen Jones is saying they need to get more help, we have not seen really any real effort to get anything done, not make any of those, just smart moves. Dan Quinn seemed to go in and go, look, I'm not asking for a ton. I'm not saying we got to go spend $10 million, $12 million a year on Bobby Wagner. I'm not saying we got to go do any of this. I'm saying I need Donovan Wilson back, I need Leighton Vander Esch back, and I need a cornerback. That's what I need if you want me to have one of the top defenses. And he went and got that done. It looks like Mike McCarthy has not had that ability to go, yeah, I want to run the ball more. Can we get a running back that's healthy week 1?
I'm with you. I don't – exactly. You need insurance, just insurance alone behind Tony Pollard. That was Deontay Foreman for me. I was like, oh, no, it's cheap insurance.
Yeah.
It costs you $3 million. Guy could end up playing 17 games, could end up playing 9 games. Either way, you're good. That's what you need.
Yeah.
And then you'll get another one in the draft because the draft is so deep. And they were just afraid to start from zero at running back, and I get it, but I just watched the Miami Dolphins do it. The Miami Dolphins 10 days ago had 0 running backs signed, and then they let 2 of them go in free agency, hit the free agency, and then they re-signed them. They re-signed Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, and then they got 2 more. That was the right move. They were like, no. They knew. They was like, no, the market, trust me, the market will tell us exactly what we need to spend for these running backs. And you know what they got? A deal, a discount. So I'm not saying that it's a type of maneuver that'll bring down the Cowboys and really, be debilitating to their salary cap. But, when you talk about the NFL being a salary cap league, the NFL is trying to make every team 500. They want the league to be as parity driven as possible. They want every team to be as close as possible. Every fan base has hope. Man, the decisions you make on the daily, just the small little decisions like that, they just add up. The little advantages you get. You're trying to get every player on that roster to outperform the compensation. That's simple.
Yeah.
That's salary cap in a nutshell. You're trying to get the most bang for your buck with every contract. So you would like the running back position, you'd like the guy to be outperforming the whatever it is, the $10 million you're giving him. Tony Pollard ain't doing that anymore. When you paid Zeke all the money, he was no longer outperforming his salary. As a rookie, he was. That was great. I don't know if he was outperforming his draft position. So that's also another discussion. Opportunity cost, another discussion we got to have. But just on the basic, just raw kind of fundamental belief about salary caps, as many guys outperforming contracts as possible. Period. That's it. And the Cowboys don't think about that enough. You got guys outperforming the contracts, period. That's when you're going to be at your best. And I think at the running back position, that's what they missed out on. Because I would have let Tony Pollard go, let it all go, and just start from scratch. And I think they would have been okay. But even if not, don't franchise Tony Pollard. Give him the non-exclusive franchise tag. I just wonder why, when they're looking for salary cap room to make moves, this is more salary cap space you could have had. Especially when you had the most expensive running back position in the history of the NFL. You were devoting more dollars to the salary cap at the running back position than any team in the history of the league. That should have been your top priority. Oh, no, we need to divest of this damn position. The rest of the NFL is divesting of it. They've already divested. We need to do that too. Why the hell are we overly invested in this one position?
Yeah, I would say, the non-exclusive franchise tag. That, to me, I can. If you would have done that, then I would have said fine. You know what? You're going to pay him probably still a little bit more than he was going to get paid.
Maybe $8 million. I don't know.
But you probably still would have paid him a little bit more, but not no one's giving up 2 first. And if someone called right now and offered you 2 first-round picks for Tony Pollard, before they could hang up the phone, you would have 3-wayed in the NFL office to make sure this trade happened. If someone offered you 2 first for Tony Pollard right now, because I can tell you, Derrick Henry, they said he's available, and does not seem like there is a lot happening.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just it's little small decisions like that. They add up, and so do the bad ones. By the way, the bad ones add up, and they put you behind.
And it does. And I will say, I will give Jerry credit that this is the first offseason where I've seen them make a lot of smart, just regular moves with consistency. Of the Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, getting the Stephon Gilmore trade, letting go Zeke. Letting go Zeke was a big one that old Jerry would not have done. Old Jerry would have kept Zeke because he was his guy, and he was like, "Look, that's my guy. I'm going to keep him for at least another year. I think he could be a big part of our team." Like, he definitely would have. So I think there's progress in how the Cowboys are doing business, but luckily you have a Dan Quinn who can get you to go in there. And what we see is, I think Kellen Moore was making most of those offensive moves with Jerry and Steven. Maybe not Mike McCarthy, because it does not look like the offense is getting any love right now, even though they say they're going to. The Cowboys say a lot of things.
Yeah, like I said, there were cheap options out there, and I can't believe now they've passed up all the cheap options. I'm sure that, but not for the bang for your buck you could have gotten.
Yeah,
those
there's
guys.
still cheap options, but there's a reason they're cheap.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about guys who actually can bring productivity to the roster. Texas says good teams make decisions last year to save this year. Cowboys wait and pay full price. Yeah. Like, even the same thing with Amari Cooper, right? They misread the wide receiver market, and they only got a 5th-round pick in exchange for a 27-year-old wide receiver 1 in his prime, and yet Tyreek Hill, not saying Amari Cooper's Tyreek Hill, not at all, but he's 28 years old, and he went for 5 picks, including a first and a second. Devontae Adams, 29 years old, not saying Amari Cooper's Devontae Adams, but he went for a first and a second. Point is, you misread the market. You had guys that were, Marquise Brown. I would say Mark Cooper's better than Marquise Brown. He went for a first and a third. A.J. Brown, first and a third. A.J. Brown's better too, but still, you got a 5th? You should have got more than a 5th. So these miscalculations, they just add up. And that's what's going to keep you from getting past the divisional round, getting past the 49ers. Getting past the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the difference. It's a game of inches. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into Off the Record on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We don't have much time here, so I'll just push the stories for our next off-the-record segment. I just have a question here. This is not really a story. This comes from Dan Orlovsky's Twitter account. Everybody knows Dan Orlovsky does a great job as an NFL insider, but also kind of a football theorist like myself, breaking down plays and breaking down kind of the scheme and the concepts of the game. But he recently posted this on Twitter because it was a conversation they got into on NFL Live, the show that he works on. And the question was, how many times do you use a towel post-shower till you throw it in the laundry? He claims, I'm 30 times or so till it goes in. He said, and no, I agree, but the air better be hot. He says, what? Also, he goes on to say, for towel use, he said, most days I shower twice a day. And I probably throw my towel into the laundry every 2 weeks. So I'd say 25 to 30 showers per towel. All right, so that is the question I have for you, Patrick. How long before you throw your towel, your shower towel, into the laundry? How many showers are we talking here? Before it's washed.
It's probably half of that, I would say.
About-
So
about
probably
two-
still
about
about
15?
2 weeks. I just take 1 shower a day, though.
Okay.
I'm not a 2-shower guy because I normally get up, work out, exercise, and then take a
Luke for a walk
shower,
and everything,
and then you're done
You
for the
shower in the
day.
middle of the day, basically.
Well,
Yeah,
I
not in the middle of the day,
I
like-
shower before I come to work.
It was about 10:30, 11.
10:30, yeah.
Somewhere around there. Right,
Yeah,
right before
so I
noon.
shower then.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm 1 shower, but it's probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. About half the time I take 2 showers. Depends on what I'm doing. Yeah, if I'm not doing anything, then maybe I just take that 1 shower a day. But sometimes, hey, 2 showers are required because I'm a
Yeah.
sweater.
Yeah.
So I start sweating a lot. I take a shower. But I would say my wife is fantastic about just cleaning random stuff around the house all the time, periodically. So I'd say our towels get washed once a week,
Okay.
easily.
Yeah, and
Easily
I will
once a
say
week.
there's also been times that I have like a weekend. If I take a 2-shower day or something like that, I may just switch to another towel because I've got multiple towels, and it may not get washed
But you
until
have a new towel.
But I have a new towel.
You have a new towel. That's a good point. What about sheets?
Sheets.
Sheets.
Ooh.
So you're a single man, so
Yeah,
sheets.
2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Ooh.
Like,
yeah, I know a single man. You do. I go a while. Right. Like I said, my wife does that once. That's once a week too. It's
Yeah.
done. It's done there. I guarantee you. It's not going more than a week without changing the sheets.
No.
Yeah, a single man. Oh man, what?
I don't care.
Unless I'm having if I have a woman
Yeah.
over.
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
If I have a company
if
over,
there's-
definitely changing the sheet.
Yeah.
But a single man, you go a while.
Yeah.
I remember those days. Trust me.
I had no reason. I don't care. I'm literally doing it for other people. If I don't care, why am I doing it?
Maybe Lou cares. Does Lou sleep in the bed?
Yeah, Lou wants things to smell better. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second.
I agree. I don't buy that for a second. All right, expect sex slide. You can always hit us up with your thoughts as well. All right, we come back. We'll talk Texas basketball. Texas big win over Colgate. We'll review that, but also preview their matchup coming up versus Penn State in the second round of March Madness. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Curtis Lee. He's playing a day show Saturday at Come and Take It Live.
I like that. There you go.
So
I know exactly where that is.
You can see the show and then watch the Texas Longhorns play.
I know a lot of people out there are going to be changing their schedules and trying to make sure that they are in a comfortable place and in a, and making sure they're in friendly confines of somewhere surrounded by Longhorn fans so that they can watch the Longhorns take on Penn State. We'll talk about that matchup, actually. Before we do that, we'll review the matchup they had versus Colgate. Big win for Texas, 81-61, first round of the tournament. So congrats to the guys. And it was a dominant performance by them for probably about 34 of the 40 minutes. Jabari Rice stole the show. He had 7 made three-pointers. That was a Texas tournament record for made threes. He also ended up with 23 points, and the Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year really showed why probably is going to win or should win the National Sixth Man of the Year. And although he is a sixth man, he is him. He was the main man for the Longhorns last night. Also had 2 steals, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. He's the one that set the tone, Patrick. When he came off the bench, and yes, they did end up starting Timmy Allen, but when he came off the bench, he really provided a ton of juice and a ton of really just instant offense. And I don't think he's been that hot from three-point range all season long. I'm not sure the Longhorns, at least since they started conference play, have been that hot from three-point range. They hit 13 threes, shot nearly 57% from three-point range, and really Colgate had no shot because they smothered them on the three-point line.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game of a good game plan for Texas that just happened to go right. You never know in a building you're not used to playing in on the road if you're going to be able to hit threes. We know that Colgate was kind of letting them get a little bit more space. They didn't want to drive past them, and they run that little screen play for Jabari Rice over and over again. Run the screen where if the guy goes underneath, he shoots, and if he goes over it and tries to fight through the screen, he just barrels it to the basket and get that layup. They kept going underneath and kept going underneath and kept going underneath, and Jabari Rice just started to get on fire at that point. And I think what was really impressive, too, about Texas and their adjustments was they started off just insanely hot shooting three. They then started to miss a few and didn't keep shooting. They then went to all right, let's get the ball into Dessou. Let's get the ball into Christian Bishop. Let's try and drive the paint, and let's try and get some other buckets and not just shoot ourselves back out of the game because we shot ourselves a big lead and then have so many empty possessions where the other team can catch the ball and start running with it and get back down the court. They made the adjustment after, and so I think that Colgate got a little bit of a run back on them because they started to miss a few, and they fixed that real quick, took some more high percentage shots, and then when the defense backed off them a little bit more, the threes were open again, and they hit some more threes.
Right, they did. They really. It was great shot selection by Texas, and I think Colgate made it easy on them. As you said, they gave them way too much space. Texas decided, we're going to take those threes. Texas is not known for being a prolific three-point shooting team, so that was an added bonus for them. What Texas is known for, their identity, their calling card, is their defense. And when Texas decides to take away a concept, an element, a player, schematically, they do a really good job of. They want to take away the three-pointer. That was pretty obvious that Coach Terry wanted to neutralize the three-point threat from Colgate, and they did a masterful job at it. Colgate hit 3 three-pointers. That is the tied for the season low for them. This is a team, Patrick, that came into this game averaging close to 9 three-pointers per game, but percentage-wise, they were the best three-point shooting team in the country last 3 years. They've been a top 3 three-point shooting team, and they shot 20% from three-point range. So Texas, and you brought this up yesterday, they decided, our big man down low in the post, hey, one-on-one, we're going to have to let that, we're going to have to live with that no matter what the outcome is, whoever the matchup is down low, we have to live with a one-on-one, and we'll just smother the perimeter. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that, Woodward had a really good game, and Records had a good game in the post. They combined for 21 points. So even though it looked like at points they were like, man, they're just dominating in the middle, they weren't. So they did very well, but they weren't able to consistently go down and put up 25 points on you where you're like, oh, there's a problem. So neither of them ever became a problem, even though they were having success. There was enough times that you waste 20 seconds on a shot clock because they're backing a guy down, turn around 2 feet from the basket and miss the shot. Ball gets poked out, Texas gets it and gets it on the run. And when you play that kind of offense too, it really takes the rest of the team of Colgate out of the game to where they don't feel good about shooting anymore. They don't feel good about playing defense anymore. And so you can't do that the whole time. I could tell you after watching that game all the way through that Colgate's coach is definitely an analytics guy.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Because
they're basically a D'Antoni type system.
Yeah, they basically, I mean, I saw them maybe take 2 to 3 mid-range jumpers that entire game.
They're in the paint or they're three-point shots.
And it was everything was a off the backboard layup or, a post-up move or a three. And Texas, and when you play that style against good defensive teams, they know how to stop it to a point to go, yeah, we'll just contest everything at the basket, but we don't have to come out on you really. And so where a Dylan Dessou and a Timmy Allen and even Marcus Carr can eat all day long because it's in that mid-range game, Colgate didn't have anybody like that, and it made it easier to defend them in the hole because you understood they're really only going to take shots. And I think they hit the mid-range ones is what I remember them. Because you'd see it and go, oh, they took a mid-range jumper.
They should do that more.
It's like, I get analytics, but you're losing. Change it up.
No, I'm with that. I totally agree with your theory about analytics with them, too. Because I even was reading, like, a breakdown about them. It was like they compared their philosophy to D'Antoni.
Yeah.
Even that philosophy, they're all about the three-point shot and getting in the paint. The mid-range game doesn't exist for them. But you got to give Texas a ton of credit. I love what you said, too. Even though Texas got hot from outside, because even Marcus Carr ended up with 4 3-pointers, I believe it was, too.
Yes.
They got hot from outside, hitting 33 pointers, but they didn't fall for the trap of trying to shoot themselves. It wasn't a constant heat check and shoot themselves out of the game. They really did. They chose their shot selection very wisely. And Dylan Dessou. The fact that he is now playing his best basketball of the season, even more than Serge Rice is fantastic. Right? He's amazing. I remember, like I said, I talked to some Texas basketball coaches. I had a brief little 3-minute conversation with them, and I was trying to get as much info as I could. And I asked him just straight up, I was like, who's the guy? Just tell me who the guy is, all right? Who's the guy? Every coach knows who the guy is. And without hesitation, the coach said, it's Serge Rice.
Yeah.
I came on the show the next day. I said, guys, the coach is telling me Serge Rice is the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah.
And turns out he is him. I mean, there is no question. That guy, he's got ice water in his veins. He loves the moment. It's never too big for him. And I think his ability to really be malleable in his role that he needs to play, because he comes off the bench, so whatever they need offense, he can be instant offense. He also was a defensive presence as well. Had 2 steals, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. I just love. I mean, it's the old quote about what Bruce Lee talks about: "Be like water." That's Serge Rice to me.
I like that.
Like
I like
water,
that.
man.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's that old man game with athleticism that he just plays that game of. It's just smart basketball so much. But he has that chip on his shoulder that he wasn't recruited. He has that chip on his shoulder that these big schools didn't want him. And now when he's getting the chance to shine right now, he is taking every single chance to show everybody, hey, man, you were wrong about me before. You're still wrong about me, and I'm better than you think I am. And I think Dylan Dessou's doing that too. That Dylan Dessou, is a guy who wanted to go to Texas, didn't get recruited by Texas, goes to Vanderbilt, proves it there, and has come here and not been able to have the impact that he wanted to, and is now finally getting to have it. We saw Dylan Dessou pick up that 3rd foul. And,
that was scary.
And he went, and he finished the game with 3 fouls. And he picks up, that's a common one for Dylan Dessou because he is trying to box out and do the right thing, and they just call him because a guy jumps, and he's backing into a guy, and it's normally an over the back, but it's normally a guy who's not even going for the rebound. They just jumped, and it looks like he undercut him, but he didn't really, and it's like a 50-50 call that you shouldn't call at all. But whenever, it depends on when the ref's head looks around.
When the guy's falling,
So when he looks, and the guy's in the air and Dylan Dessou's underneath him, then they go, well, that's a foul on Dylan DeSue. You undercut him. But he's like, but the guy was there. And he just jumped while Dylan DeSue was backing into him.
Yeah. No, it's a big man's curse, too. So I just look, you look like you're being aggressive just because you're big.
So he gets that foul called on him, and it's just smart enough to go, all right, don't pick up the dumb one. So that one was the worst one, but it wasn't terrible. He's able to stay in the game.
He did that in the Kansas game, I think, too. He picked up an early two fouls. And then he was able to finish the game.
Yep.
He got himself under control. I like that. That shows maturity, man. That's maturity. I remember you saying during the season that was the big issue with him. It was like he'll end up in foul trouble. He's great for the time you got him, but if he ends up in foul trouble, you got to take him off the floor. And he's done a great job of being able to keep himself composed after that foul, not getting, like you said, the stupid foul, the silly foul. Not stupid. It's more the silly foul. Also, Dylan DeSue, third straight game with at least 15 points and 70% field goal shooting from the field. When you have him playing at a really high level, and by the way, Christian Bishop is actually playing really well too. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and then you combine that with Marcus Carr. Like I said, he other than the 5 turnovers, he was plus 24 in plus minus, but he did have 5 turnovers. But he gave you your 17 points. But when Texas is scoring like that, and you know their defense comes to play, they're just gonna be hard to beat. I mean, that's that team that we saw versus Colgate. That's a team playing to a standard and not playing to their opponent. And if they play to that standard, this is a team that can make a run to the Final Four. They really can, because their defense right now, they're playing their best defense of the season. I'll give you a great defensive stat. Shout out to my man Christian Corona, because he's the one I got it from. Colgate was the only team to make 40%, basically over 40% of their threes this year. Texas held them to 20%, which is their season low, and they made 3 3-pointers, which was also their season low. You go look at the top 2 teams by effective field goal percentage this season, the Zags and Colgate, 59%, and basically both of them were at 59% if you round up 59%. Texas held both of them to a combined collective 51% effective field goal percentage and beat them by 39 points. Now, we know Colgate, very different opponent than the Zags. Not saying that, but just talking about prolific offenses, schematically, conceptually, when Rodney Terry and this team decide they want to take something away, they do have the dogs to execute the scheme.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Tyrese Hunter play 37 minutes in that game yesterday. Like, Tyrese Hunter was out there playing hard D, and it's only 10 points. He did miss some threes. That guy plays his butt off on defense. And that's something you need, because I think when you got Tyrese Hunter, everybody was expecting him to be this big scorer. He's turned out his role on this team this year has been different, because he is now a guy that is not necessarily having to facilitate as much on the offensive end, but defensively shutting guys down has been his role. He's going to have to do that coming up on tomorrow, because Penn State has several guys.
They got 2 of them.
That can score on you, and they like to play 4 guards. He is going to be on the court. He was 37 minutes in that game. I mean, we're looking at another 37-minute game.
I agree, because the 2 guys you got to take away since looking ahead to Penn State, Andrew Funk, who, man, we thought Sergio Barry-Rice was hot from three-point range. Andrew Funk ended up 8 of 10 from three-point range. That's crazy. I don't know all season long if this is kind of something that he does all the time. But for Sergio Barry-Rice, obviously he set a record, and I wonder if Andrew Funk might have set a record too. But between he and Jalen Pickett, who had 19 versus A&M, I believe it was, he's supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink, though. Right, he's leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. He's the guy. Those are your 2 guys.
Yeah.
If you can neutralize those 2 threats, you got a really good chance of winning in Texas. That's as Patrick pointed out. They've been really good at taking taking away at least one of a team's best 2 weapons.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen this with Texas, that people started to focus really on Marcus Carr when he was tearing it up early in the season, and that's when Jabari Rice came out of his shell and just became the scoring star that he has become. And I think that's what happened with Funk in that game. Is you go, all right, we're putting all of our assets to cover Jalen Pickett. And then the other guy comes out. So that's where you go, if Tyrese Hunter's on Jalen Pickett, that means Serge Rice, that means Timmy Allen, that means Marcus Carr, that means Arturo Morris if he gets a little bit more run, because you may be playing some more small lineups against them. Those guys are going to have to make sure whoever's on that assignment, You know your assignment. It's more difficult with Colgate. You had a week that you could scout this team, and a week you could prepare and really teach all the kids the assignments.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Carr in that game, one of the things that he forgot was that if you're throwing the ball near Tucker Richardson, he's going to go for the steal, and he just threw lazy passes down court,
yeah.
and it was two or three of the turnovers were lazy passes around Tucker Richardson, and he just made a lazy pass on a team that is designed to go for the steal, and so that's just not knowing your scouting report, and knowing, hey man, everything needs to be crisp because these guys, they will blow an assignment to go for a steal.
Goes to the point about 13 turnovers. When you want to criticize anything about the game, that's probably the most critical point.
Yeah, and
13 turnovers.
but that's just not reading your scouting report and go, no man, I get that that's the bad defensive play to go for that steal, because 9 times out of 10 that's a catch and a dunk because that guy's falling over out of bounds. But when they steal it, when you're just doing lazy passes, but that's the thing, is you need to know your scouting report going against Penn State now. And you have today to learn it.
Yes, good point. You don't have all week to get comfortable with it, practice it, learn. Yeah, you got.
You're going to get a walkthrough probably. You'll probably do a walkthrough in the hotel today. You'll probably do a walkthrough in the hotel tomorrow, and then get out on the court a little bit. But yeah, there is not a lot of time for you to go down and remember, and you're just going to have to go, all right, here's the main guys, and if they throw something at us,
we'll adjust on the fly.
Yeah,
Rodney Terry's got to earn that money.
And I'll give you
just on the fly.
We'll give a shout out to Fireball, who's their video guy. He does a really good job. I'm sure he had a package prepared for A&M and a package prepared for Penn State before the game. They was already done. Their assistants, and I'm sure they had guys that were scouting both teams to make sure that they were not. The coaches would be ready, but you're not trying to load that onto the players before a game against Colgate, because then they look past the game. But you have your student assistants and everybody else working on scouting both those other teams, knowing, look, there's one of two options. Let's scout both of them, so when it gets to Saturday, we're ready to go.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yeah, you got to be prepared for all possible scenarios, especially at this time of the year. Let's give you a couple of superlatives about Penn State. First of all, they're top 10 in three-point rate, meaning three-point attempts and three-point percentage, so they can shoot it. As we just saw last night, they can shoot it, and they take care of the basketball. They rank 98, basically ranking the 98th percentile in jump shooting efficiency. Per synergy. So they're really good at jump shooting efficiency. They're also 43rd nationally in defensive rebounding. So, yeah, like Colgate, they like to shoot the 3-point shot, but they crash the boards. That has been a challenge for Texas. Texas has done really well at kind of having a group effort, team effort of crashing the boards. They're going to need to be on their A game when it comes to hitting the boards versus Penn State. They're 7th lowest team in terms of turnover rate in the tourney, so they're really good and taking care of the basketball. Texas has got to force some turnovers somehow. I mean, Texas can put a lot of pressure on them, and when they're smothering the perimeter defensively, they're also 38th in foul rate. They don't foul you a lot. They don't try to give you a lot of easy points at the foul line. So those, for Texas, usually if you're not hot from 3-point range, and that's as hot as we've seen Texas from 3-point range, you're trying to manufacture buckets, trying to manufacture points by getting to the paint, driving to the bucket. They're really good at defending that, but not even trying to, not fouling and not giving up the easy points at the free throw line. So those are some of the things that are their strengths, but I think Texas matches up really well with them because they want to shoot the 3-point shot. Texas is really good at defending the 3-point shot, and they like to go small, and Texas, they got a lot of good guards.
Yeah, and I think we have bigs that can run too. So you have bigs that a team like this could really kill you if you didn't have bigs that could run the court. Because these guys now can, if they're going to go small, they can run. And you can get killed in that transition game if you can't rim protect at all. Christian Bishop, Dylan DeSue can both run really well. Brock Cunningham's pretty good at it. He's not, but those two other guys clearly a step above in rim and being able to run the court. And I think you may see, too, there's going to be points in the game where everyone's going to have to step up their defense and not allow threes. Because if hey, man, they can't guard two bigs at any given time. We got some good passing bigs. We may pull out and see if they're going to pull out on Bishop or DeSue, and then throw that pass to the cutter, and they're going to have no one to protect the rim. So we could see that as well as a little bit more high-low game with some of the guards, or if you have a Brock Cunningham or a Christian Bishop who's been showing a lot of really good passing and good sight of his players. I think you could see that of him where he kind of comes out trying to draw the guy out, and if not, it's a 12-foot jump shot. So you have to guard me, and Dylan Nasua has that little push shot
It's
all day
beautiful.
long. But you have to, if you're going to play that game too, you need to make sure you really protect the 3-point line on defense, because you don't want to be giving up 3 and then scoring 2 on the other end. In this game, it became easy because you were guarding the 3-point line and hitting threes. When you're talking about Penn State, it goes into, hey man, if we're going to try and shoot twos because we know we have a definitive advantage on the inside, then let's really lock down that 3-point line. And worst case scenario, we're trading 2-point buckets if we're both scoring at a point, but we're not letting them eke back into this game by every time down. We're up 12, and now it's 11, and now it's 10, and now it's 9. And now all of a sudden they hit 3, and now it's 6. You're like, oh, what happened? You're like, well, we were trading buckets, but they were getting 3 every time we were getting 2.
I'm with you. The 3-point line, or at least the 3-point defense, your perimeter defense, got to be your top priority. This texter here brings up good points. I think Penn State's a terrible matchup problem for the Horns. 3-point teams with a guard that can drive to the basket. Ouch. I will say Jalen Pickett has an unorthodox game. It's not because he'll kind of get in the post and back guys down. It's an unorthodox game for a point guard, a modern point guard, I should say. It's almost a throwback game a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have quite the athleticism of what killed us against like K-State with Noel, where Noel is just so speedy and has such good ball handling
you can't get in front of
that
him.
there is a part of like they could drive. So these guys are going to drive, but our guys can stay with them a little bit better. And I get it's a tournament. We're past the 2-15 matchup. Pretty much every matchup is going to have some part in it now where you go, ooh, I don't like that. The one thing you don't want is 2 bigs that can score at will. That is the one main thing that Texas is afraid of, because that is a really hard game for Texas to defend, is a team like who knocked out Texas before, Purdue, last year.
It's a roster limitation. It's like you can't schematically. There's not much you can do to adjust to.
Yes, because if they have a 7-footer and a 6'10" guy who can score at will, what do you do with that?
Not much you can do.
Yeah, because then you just go, well, they're just backing us down. What do you want to say?
Double them, but then we're going to leave people open on the 3-point line.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it is. I agree with you 100%. That's a roster limitation issue. That's not a coaching schematic, conceptual issue. And that's what you're hoping. You're hoping that, like you said, the problem is something that can be schematically or conceptually resolved or remedied by the coaching staff or by the players themselves. What you don't want, like you said, is that one problem you cannot solve because you don't have the resources to do it.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday, there was times where they had lapses and Colgate got threes, and they corrected them quickly. The next game, those lapses are going to result in more points because Penn State's a better team. So Penn State will probably hit a couple more of those. You just have to make those adjustments back pretty quickly.
Penn State also really good versus the press. Obviously, Texas will know this, but they're the best team versus the press in the tournament. It's like them and Creighton, in case you try to press them. And I think a lot of that is Jalen Pickett.
It's Jalen Pickett, and playing 4 guards.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Who are you going to get who doesn't know how to pass and ball handle?
Great point. Yeah, there you go. So I like, actually, I think the matchup for Texas is a good matchup. Obviously, as Patrick pointed out, it's the tournament, so ain't no easy wins. But Texas is good when they go small. They've been at their best lately going small. And this team wants to go small, so I think it'll be a good matchup. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We come back. We got Raj around the day. How about we'll just play this Adam Schefter report. Adam Schefter is throwing a ton of confusion out there about the number 1 overall pick and what the Panthers are going to do with the number 1 overall pick and what their intentions are. We'll talk about that. We'll play that audio and discuss right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Apple Leasing, because we know this car market these days is a treacherous one. It really can have you all confused and discombobulated and frustrated. Well, my friends over at Apple Leasing, they are here to help walk you through the process, and they're going to be on your side, all right? They got your best interest at heart, and what my friends at Apple Leasing can do is they can find you great value. Now, we all know that time is money. My friends at Apple Leasing, they're in the business of saving you both. They're going to save you time, save you money, but also find you great value. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And all it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing has what they call their simple interest easy lease. And well, it makes things simple because it gives you a lot more possibilities, which is going to give you a lot more flexibility and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. We know inflation is through the roof. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So give my friends at Apple Leasing a call, 512-346-9977. That's 512-346-9977, and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for Rod's rant of the day. I want to get into a little NFL draft discussion here because there's a new report from Adam Schefter, and this is the silly season. So you get a lot of misinformation thrown out there. Teams are throwing out misinformation just to try to motivate other teams, potentially to incentivize them to trade up or to trade down, or for them to overrate or underrate a certain player. A lot of mind games being played these days. And Adam Schefter may be a part of that. So I'll just preface this audio with that. But Adam Schefter went on ESPN, and he was talking about the Panthers and their intention with the number 1 overall pick. Now, if you're a Texans fan like I am, you're paying close attention to the discussion about what the Panthers are going to do with the number 1 overall pick because you got the 2nd overall pick, and you may just have to take the quarterback they don't want if they are indeed taking a quarterback. So here is the latest from Adam Schefter on what's going on with the Panthers in the top overall pick.
But this offseason is going to be defined by what this team does with the number 1 overall pick. They made the bold move last week to trade up to get to number 1, and now they'll sift through the quarterback options. And I think going into the process of evaluating the quarterbacks, I think that Bryce Young is the favorite to become the number 1 overall pick, and they will go in with an open. Really?
Yeah, let's live there for just a second if we can, because some people have thought maybe Anthony Richardson climbed into that conversation after the combine.
C.J. Stroud.
You're hearing C.J. Stroud, especially with that offensive line.
I think going into the process, let me say it this way, I think Bryce Young is to the Panthers what Mac Jones was to the 49ers when they traded up. They traded up with the idea that they really liked Mac Jones, and then they went through the process and wound up on Trey Lance. I think in this particular case, this team moved up with the idea that Bryce Young was a guy that they loved. They also really like C.J. Stroud. He's definitely got support within the organization. And we'll see what transpires during the course of evaluations. But I think at the beginning of the process, it starts out with Bryce Young as the favorite.
Okay. First of all, man, the fact that Schefter reiterated that Shano and the 49ers traded all the way up in the draft, he thought to go get Mac Jones, basically. And that was their intention. I remember Sims, my boy Sims, lifetime Longhorn Chris Sims, he did say the same thing. And I know he has a direct pipeline to Shano. I'm not saying he got it from him, but that's what he said. And then there are reports that Shano really liked Mac Jones and was persuaded, I should say, by the front office to go Trey Lance. But I digress. This is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the number 1 overall pick, and now Adam Schefter says he believes it's going to be Bryce Young. Here's why that's a little strange, because Adam Schefter also reported this, and this was like a week ago. We talked about this on the show. He said, I just hung up. This is the quote from Adam Schefter. Just hung up the phone with someone in the organization with the Panthers, and they said there's a belief that Dave Tepper loves Bryce Young, that's the owner, but Frank Reich likes C.J. Stroud. And they said, we love all these quarterbacks, and we've got 48 days to make a decision on which one we'll be taking. But clearly, they felt comfortable in giving up the compensation that they did to move up 8 slots to procure the number 1 overall draft pick ahead of other teams that were interested in it to getting that particular pick. Okay, so if they didn't know who they were going to get, I can kind of believe that, because I listened to Mel Kiper the other day, and Mel Kiper said there have been multiple instances in the drafts that he's covered of teams moving up into the top 5, even number 1 overall, and not knowing who they were going to get. He said a lot of times teams know, sometimes teams don't know. They just want the leverage of having that position in the draft, that power position, if you will. So I can believe that. And now if he's saying Bryce Young is the guy, Patrick, I just believe that Dave Tepper, the owner, the guy who signs the checks, won the power struggle, if there was a power struggle about a Bryce Young or a C.J. Stroud, because history would suggest that Frank Reich has a type, and his type, it ain't an undersized, slight quarterback who's an outlier like Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I mean, this is all – we're still far enough away from the draft.
Yes.
That anything could change. I'm sure Frank Reich will make his case as far as he can. We know that sometimes owners who are GMs don't get their way of drafting quarterbacks. Jerry Jones, Johnny Manziel.
Thank God.
But that was a guy who loved a quarterback, and he loved the quarterback. Also, I can tell you, I don't know if an owner who's ever said he liked anything. Coaches say they like things. owners love everything.
Well, because they're billionaires.
Yeah.
Because billionaires can afford to love everything because
Yes.
they can just
They
buy
can
it.
buy everything.
when you're middle class, you're like, I like that. I window shop it. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it.
I'm not sure.
I put it on layaway.
Yeah, let me go look around a little bit more.
Exactly.
I gotta move some things around in my,
Exactly right.
No, that's Frank Reich's like, look, I like C.J. Stroud, but let's look around.
Yeah.
We'll see where the best value is. Look, maybe there's a coupon.
You're right. Yeah. I gotta compare pricing here, man. I gotta some price shopping.
No,
I'm with you.
But David Tepper goes, I like that Maserati. All the colors, please.
And I'll take it. I'll take it in cash. I'll pay for it. So I think you got a good point there about the personalities here. I'm with you. I think there's still enough time for Frank Reich to convince, and now he's a billionaire now, basically convince Dave Tepper that C.J. Stroud is his idea. Because you can't convince him anything else because they're billionaires, but basically convince him that C.J. Stroud is the best pick for the organization.
No, and I'll tell you this. If you're Frank Reich and you want to convince him C.J. Stroud is the best guy, you need to call up Adam Schefter. You need to call up every single person and leak out there about how great C.J. Stroud is and give him everything to talk positive about C.J. Stroud. Because if you are not following and doing the scouting yourself and everything else, and you turn on the media, Bryce Young is the only quarterback. Him and Anthony Richardson are the two quarterbacks in this draft. Because nobody talks about C.J. Stroud. Will Levis has dropped off because now Anthony Richardson has replaced Will Levis as the guy. So we know Will Levis still has the arm, but Anthony Richardson has an arm too, and he can run. So now he's a
freak show.
He's the freak show guy that Will Levis was supposed to be.
Yep.
So now those are the two conversations. Bryce Young is clearly the best quarterback, but is he too small? C.J. Stroud just doesn't get the positive.
It's so crazy because I think you're right. And it's weird that the two closer to the traditional quarterbacks or prototypical quarterbacks, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, they're kind of taking a back seat in the kind of the media storm, if you will, of this offseason to Bryce Young, the ultimate outlier, right? Never had a quarterback be drafted that high who's that slight and what is he, 5'11", 5'10", whatever he is?
Yeah, he's like 5'10",
5'10", half, whatever it is. So you never had a quarterback that slight because he's going to be really slight to I think 190 pounds, 92 pounds, something like that. So you never had that slight, that small, drafted as high as he is. And then you go to Anthony Richardson, which he is a physical freak, but he is a project. Speaking of, Todd McShay had a report out a couple of weeks ago about the Panthers and Anthony Richardson, to add to Patrick's point. He says in his latest mock draft, he said, quote, "We still don't know which signal caller Carolina will target, and it could truthfully be any of the top 4 names. I've even heard a little buzz about Anthony Richardson, who is a raw prospect but is coming off a huge combine performance." Yeah, Josh Allen is making Anthony Richardson a ton of money right now. Because everybody's just making you see what happened with Josh Allen. He's like, well, he's not really accurate. Well, you see what happened with Josh Allen. I agree. Josh Allen, that was a remarkable, miraculous development by him. Because I've never seen a quarterback be so inefficient and underwhelming at a lower level of football be drafted as high as Josh Allen was drafted. It's never happened before. And give it up to Brian Daboll and that staff. They really were able to kind of reinvent his skill set, maximize his strengths, and limit his weaknesses. And now he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But I agree kind of with Mike Leach about this, the late, great Mike Leach about it. Mike Leach would always say, I'd rather take a shortstop who had an accurate arm and turn him into a quarterback rather than take a quarterback with a really strong arm with a cannon who couldn't really make the accurate throw.
Yeah.
He said, I'd rather take a guy he said accuracy matters way more in football, in his opinion, than the big arm that can make all the throws. But you can make all the throws, but you can't make them accurately, then what's the point? He wanted a guy that can make accurate throws. And Anthony Richardson, that's some of that in him. Now, Josh Allen, he was able to, like I said, develop and cultivate his skill set, and now he is considered a more accurate quarterback. But everybody remembers early on, Josh Allen it was all big arm, no accuracy.
Yeah.
And they did a great job of now fine-tuning that. You're basically rolling the dice that you can do that with Anthony Richardson. I'm not saying Frank Reich can't. But Frank Reich he likes big quarterbacks and he likes prototypical quarterbacks, not necessarily quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson. His history is he inherited an Andrew Luck, then he brought in a Brian Hoyer, a Jacoby Brissett, a Phillip Rivers, a Carson Wentz, You got a Matt Ryan in there, Sam Ellinger. Basically, all of the starting quarterbacks that Frank Reich has had, they're all prototypical 6'5", 6'6", 6'4" quarterbacks. So that definitely tells me he's not interested in Bryce Young, the outlier, but also tells me he might not be as interested in the Anthony Richardson project either.
No.
I see him as a Stroud guy and a Will Levis guy.
No, and that's, I think, if you asked Tepper, he would say the guys that are in the media, the guys that he sees on TV. He turns on the TV, and who are they talking about and showing highlights of? That's the guys I love. Because look at them. Not only that, they're going to make me a lot of money because they're on TV. You want to give me the boring guy who can win games? We better win a bunch. And winning costs me more money. Winning costs me money, and it can make me, but that's a harder proposition than go get me the splashy guy who's going to make me a bunch of money up front. I think that you hired Frank Reich. I bet that he will win out in this.
He should.
But I could see it coming down a lot more to the wire, and I could see Tepper understanding how business works, continuing to try and stir the pot as much as he can to
generate interest and free media.
Hey man, until they trade for that number 1 pick, this is the most anyone's talked about Carolina since Jake Delhomme. And they were winning games.
Hey, they went to the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Went to the Super Bowl, man.
They went to the Super Bowl. That's how long it's
Super
been.
Bowl.
I mean, like the most you got last year was people were like, they're signing Baker. That's not going to work.
That's a great point too about the owners just trying to pulling your best Jerry Jones. Everybody learns from Jerry Jones. Like, hey man, generate interest. And I would say this too. You also want to keep the hope alive that you could trade that pick because there's a talk that they still would, and a lot of this may be smoke signals to the Texans. Like, hey, if you want to make a deal, we still be willing to make a deal because that's why they like all the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We like all of them, so we don't give a damn if you want to trade up to go get your guy.
If we tell you who we're taking, then there's no interest because
Exactly.
you're fine it too.
Exactly.
If you're a Bryce Young fan and they said C.J. Stroud, oh sure,
Yeah.
go right ahead, you guys.
So all the teams that may be interested in that quarterback, they got to keep the availability open, keep hope alive, and I think a lot of this is for the Texans. Like, hey Texans, if you love one of these quarterbacks and you got to have them, we're open for business because we'll take the other guy because we like him too. So I think this might be so the Texans. Listen, I'm still not opposed to the Texans making that move. I'm not sure the Texans want right now. I don't know if we know that. And I'm not sure if they're like the Carolina Panthers are. We'll take either one of C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, whichever one the Panthers don't get.
Yeah, and I mean, it all depends too of are you a ceiling guy, or are you we want a day one starter, or are you a floor guy who says what's the worst possible scenario? Because what's the worst possible scenario? You probably look at a Bryce Young and go, you know what? This is probably like him being his bad is like he'd get hurt. But playing-wise, we know he's going to be a good quarterback. And then if you look at a C.J. Stroud, you're like, well, he does, but there's been history with Ohio State quarterbacks before, and that system at Ohio State, maybe if we don't run the same type of offense, there may be issues. And Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, you go, man, the upside is so high. But that floor, we could draft Carson Wentz.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's a different philosophy for every team, but I think it's Frank Reich is making a decision, and you and I both agree he's going to have a ton of input. He has a type. I have a type. If you go look at all my exes, I probably have a type. It's probably big booty brunettes. Who knows? I don't know what my type is. Go look at all of them. You probably will notice a trend. And when you look at Frank Reich's quarterback, you notice a trend. Peyton Manning, 6'5", Phillip Rivers, 6'5", Carson Wentz, 6'5", Nick Foles, 6'6", Andrew Luck, 6'4", Matt Ryan, 6'4". You get it. I think he's going for a C.J. Stroud or Will Levis in the end.
Yeah,
and all of this is just histrionics. It's just theater.
Yeah. I mean, look, they probably haven't had that sit-down full discussion of who we are, like, for sure drafting yet because you're still, over a month out?
Oh, you got plenty of time.
So that'll come closer to time, and then it'll come down to, all right, do they announce beforehand or do they push it out the whole way to try and see if the Texans freak out? And
they'll never reveal it. I think they'll keep it until draft day. Because on draft day, you still might get a team that goes, what, we want to make a trade.
Freak out and go, you're going to take our guy before someone gets super high on Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
And they're worried that the Panthers may take him. And they, you know what, we'll give you more than you gave up. to move back 2 spots.
Yeah, there is no incentive for them to reveal it. All the power and the leverage is in keeping it as secret as possible and keeping options available as possible. All right, good discussion. We'll come back. We got off the record on this side right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Evan Charles, and he's playing Saturday at the San Jack Saloon.
All right, if you miss any of these suggestions for 512 Friday, you can go check them out for yourself at hornfm.com. All right, you know that Giselle and Tom Brady called it quits, of course. Tom Brady I think there's been rumors and reports that he has dated somebody since the divorce, but it hasn't been. There haven't been prevalent reports of it.
No leaks.
Yeah, there have been a lot of reports of it. But Giselle, there have been now multiple reports of her dating multiple guys since the divorce.
Yeah.
She's now rumored to, because remember, first it was the jiu-jitsu instructor, Joaquim Valente. Remember, 5 months after she finalized her quickie divorce with Tom Brady, she moved on with this Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor. Wow. And apparently he used to be the family's jiu-jitsu instructor.
The families, yes.
Yeah, Tom Brady took lessons and so did the kids and Giselle. And then he moved in like that. Wow. And now, how about this one? Another friend of Tom. The Brazilian model has been spending time with billionaire hotel magnate Jeffrey Sofer, reportedly. He's a friend of ex-husband Tom Brady and a former husband of Australian supermodel Elle Macpherson. So the two guys she's allegedly dated or reportedly dated since the divorce, Tom Brady knew them both. Woo! Man, a woman scorned. Oh, she'd get back at you.
I can tell you this. I've seen Elle Macpherson in person recently, and still got it.
Oh, I bet she does.
Still got it.
And Giselle still got it.
She's dating Doyle Bramhall, musician here in town.
Oh, really?
The guy who used to be married to Renee Zellweger.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he does all right for himself.
Nice. So Elle Macpherson been kicking it in the ATX?
Yeah, so I went to one of the shows he was playing at.
What?
And she comes out, she's taking pictures of the band.
Whoa. So you saw it up close and personal that
Yeah.
she's doing well. How old is she now? Do we know? I gotta look that up. Okay.
58 years old.
Okay. Wow. There you go.
Still doing good.
She's a supermodel.
Yeah.
Supermodels age really
Yeah.
well. Giselle's aging really well.
Yeah, well, she's having a lot of fun now.
She is. Man.
Hey, now that Tom's got to take the kids on some of these weekends.
Oh, and he knows all the guys she's dating.
You know, she hasn't probably had a weekend off of kids. They got nannies and stuff.
Oh, I think Tom is taking the kids
But
a couple
on
times.
weekends, he's working weekends.
Well, now he's got a lot of free time.
Now he's got free time.
Take those damn kids for a turn. Or how about this? Tom Brady and this new guy she's dating, Jeffrey Sofer, they became neighbors. They were neighbors.
Man, Tom Brady, you pick really bad friends.
They bought land to build their forever home next to his mansion, next to this guy Sofer's mansion. They were neighbors.
Dude,
in Miami.
How many people has Tom Brady fed
Wow.
that are currently on the list trying to get with his ex-wife?
Yeah, you know what? That's a violation. If they are true friends, then that is a violation of the G code, bro. Y'all were neighbors and friends?
Neighbors and friends.
And the jiu-jitsu guy.
Do you think as soon as that report came out, his ex-wife called him up, Elle Macpherson called him up, and was like, I knew it.
Yeah, man, Elle Macpherson and Giselle on your roster? That's legit.
I need $1 billion.
Don't we all? Don't we all? All right, we come back. We'll wrap it up. We got the last segment before Texas baseball right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. The basketball bracket season is upon us, and that means it's time for you to shoot your shot and score big on the nonstop action with MyBookie. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it simple to bet and easy to use and easy to win like MyBookie. Whether you're filling out multiple brackets or betting on the eventual national championship winner or simply looking for player and game props, MyBookie has you covered. Getting started with MyBookie is so simple. It's so easy. Visit the website online, mybookie.ag, make your first deposit, and use the promo code HORN, HORN, to claim an exclusive deposit bonus. That's a promo code HORN, HORN, to claim some extra money on the top of your initial investment. That's right, folks. So with hundreds of thousands in prizes for the madness of March and the weekly blackjack tournaments, you can turn your game day into a payday with MyBookie. We're talking about straight cash, homie. With MyBookie, you're making money before you even place your first bet. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with MyBookie, you're betting with the best. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie, and that's when we play jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. My man Patrick lets you know how you can do that. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Blackheart Saints, and they are playing Saturday at the Hotspot.
I like it. Sometimes me Chad be really into the Blackheart
Saints, yeah. And he would like the other band they're playing with as well.
Oh, really?
So, yes.
Okay. And where is that again?
The Hotspot up north here.
All right, there you go. Chad Hastings might be listening. He's up. He's a Northie too.
He's a Northie.
Hey, mate, go check it out, man. I know Chad went to like those types genre of concerts, like heavy metal stuff, with his dad.
Yeah.
Like with his.
Yeah, my dad's gone to shows like that with me.
Like heavy metal stuff.
My dad was in a band back in the day.
Yeah, sure. Your dad was like that's true. It's a good point. He appreciates all types of music. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a concert with my dad. No. I've been to a
I've been to
with my
concerts with my dad on stage.
Yeah, y'all different. Y'all
I've
y'all a
hosted
music
shows.
family.
I sang when he played bass, and I can't sing.
You
so
sang on stage?
It was a whole
In like a club?
Yeah, it was a whole pre-requirement.
Is there video of
Because
this?
I booked a band, and then they threatened to back out unless I sang because they were blackmailing me.
Oh,
It's
they
a
in front
whole
of the
thing.
crowd?
Yes.
Oh, where's the video?
Oh, I think I have a copy.
Oh no, I must see this video.
No, it's so bad. The funniest part, so we were
please.
doing.
What's the song? What was the
It
song?
was Spinal Tap. I think it was Spinal Tap, Big
come
Bottom.
on.
The best part,
Gotta get
we
that
blew the
posted.
power to the club doing the song. So like we were about to start doing it, and for whatever reason, it blew all the power to the club.
Oh,
so
you-
we were about to start.
So you rocked out that hard?
and it shut all before we even started, shut off all the power to the entire club.
Oh, you still had to sing though, right?
No, and then they got the power back up. So we're just on stage for like 5 minutes while they fixed everything.
What'd you do? Stand up?
Yeah, because there's no PA.
What'd you do?
There was no lights, no PA. Like it shut off all power, and they had to get power back up. And then once we got it back up, we just started going.
That is a crazy story, man.
Yeah, that was so. We had a Spinal Tap moment playing
Wow.
Spinal Tap.
Okay. Well, I need to have access to this video. This video
I
exists.
don't know. It may be
This is
destroyed
what-
for all time.
No.
Maybe destroyed for all mankind.
This video exists. It's just like that. There's some great videos in sports radio that exist that we try to find. Like the oh man, actually, the video of Bob Cole being tased is one of those. Is that still
Yeah.
out there? That's
I'm sure. I know that. I know there's a sound effect. I know there's an audio.
There's a
file
video
still.
of it.
I'm
There's
sure
a-
the video still
Yeah,
exists.
it might be up there still on YouTube. That's a great video. This one of Patrick, I got to get a hold of this. Takes some out. There's a video of me. Actually, early on in my sports talk radio career, when you're young in sports talk radio, you do a lot of bits. Like you're big into bits. You'll go do
Yeah,
something, audition for stuff. You'll just do dumb stuff because you're young and it's fun. One of the bits I did, I auditioned for The Bachelor. They came to Austin.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for The Bachelor. And they videoed the whole damn thing. There's a video of it.
Yeah.
It's like a 35 little minute audition or whatever. That's video of your boy Rod B auditioning for The Bachelor. And I was very close to getting it. Matter of fact, the woman said, listen, you're not going to be The Bachelor because I want to be the first black bachelor. She said, we can be one of the men on The Bachelorette. Came back and asked my now wife if she was cool with me being one of the guys. I was like, listen, I'll choose you at the end of the show. When I win, I'll say there's a woman I've always been in love with, and I'll choose you. She said, hell no. If you go on that show, we're breaking up. So I said, hell no, I can't do the show. This woman I'm dating, I really like her. She'll break up with me. Turns out, yeah.
Good call.
The rest
Good
is
call.
history. Good
Good
call there. Thanks, my man, Pat, for doing a great job, as always. And thank you out there for listening. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Texas baseball coming up next. Roger Wallace and my man, Hardball Harge on the call. Don't go anywhere. Have a great weekend. Peace.